Douluo, starting with a 9-curve vine dragon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 Incentives. This village is not isolated from the outside world. Don't tell me you don't know about something so big happening on the mainland, facing the old man in black robe. Poseidon's tone was no longer polite, but mixed with a little anger. Poseidon Island established a Poseidon Empire on the mainland under the order of Lord Poseidon. Since you are the descendants of Lord Poseidon and know your identity, why don't you come to Poseidon City and contribute to the Poseidon Empire? She thought her words would make these people feel a little ashamed, but she was wrong. After hearing her words, none of the villagers who were blocking the ancestral hall showed any trace of shame on their faces. Instead, they looked at her as if she were a fool. Do your part for the Glazed Empire. The old man in black robe laughed out loud. High Priest of Poseidon, you seem to have not understood one thing. We are the descendants of Poseidon ancestors, not their servants. We have the right to choose the life we want and do not need to obey Poseidon ancestors' orders, but you, the Poseidon lineage, are different. As the descendants of Poseidon's wife, you inherited Poseidon Island. Unlike us, the descendants of Poseidon's illegitimate children, we were forced to leave Poseidon Island and come here after Poseidon ascended to the divine realm. As the saying goes, if you want to wear the crown, you must bear its weight. Since you, the Persian family, have inherited Poseidon Island, it is your duty to obey Poseidon's orders for generations, isn't it? So, you have no right to blame us, let alone ask us to work for the Glazed Empire you founded. Every word the old man in black robe said made sense, leaving Poseidon speechless for a moment, unable to find any words to refute. But Poseidon was an old monster over 100 years old, and he quickly figured out something from the words of the old man in black robe. Everyone in the world is benefiting. The old man in black robe did not explicitly refuse to serve the Glazed Empire. It was not that they were unwilling to serve, but they did not want to serve in vain since they don't think they have an obligation. Make them an offer they can't refuse. I'm sure you all know about the meteor shower a few months ago. Poseidon regained his graceful demeanor and spoke slowly and elegantly. The order from Lord Glazed is not just to establish the Glazed Empire and unify the continent. The complete content of Lord Glazed's order is to find a talented soul master who can become the successor of Lord Glazed and support him to become the emperor of the Glazed Empire. I am the only one left in the lineage of Poseidon, and I am still unmarried, so there is no blood left in the world. This has resulted in the position of the successor to Lord Poseidon remaining vacant to this day, with no one able to take on the role. Everything is excessive or insufficient. Poseidon did not say everything, but stopped at the point and said no more. As soon as these words came out, the somewhat cloudy eyes of the old man in black robe suddenly lit up. His expression became excited, and he said, "Why did the high priest of the sea god not stay in the sea god city and enjoy his good life, but instead came to a remote and desolate little village?" It turns out that he was secretly visiting the continent to find someone who is qualified to be the successor of the sea god's ancestors. In terms of inheriting the throne of the sea god ancestors, who else in this world is more qualified than us, the descendants of the sea god? The inherited martial soul. Our Chen family is the sea. We are naturally close to the ocean. In terms of the purity of the martial soul's ocean attribute, it is even better than the sea god martial soul of your Poseidon lineage. Speaking of the Chen family's inherited martial spirit, the black-robed old man's tone couldn't help but become complacent. Even though the inherited martial soul of Poseidon's lineage is Poseidon, that is just the offspring conceived by Poseidon for his wife after he became a god. It is a human-shaped martial soul created with the power of the blood in his body. The inherited martial soul of the Chen family, the sea, is the martial soul that the sea god possessed before he became a god. Xiaotian, come here. The old man in black robe waved to the young man in the ancestral hall, pulled him forward, and introduced him to Poseidon. Chen Haitian is the best of the younger generation in our Chen village. The quality of his sea spirit is the best in the entire village. He has cultivated to the 48th level at the age of 17, breaking the Chen family's record for thousands of years. The martial spirit of Lord Glazed before he became a god, and his talent, should be qualified to be the successor of the Glazed ancestor, right? Special circumstances, special treatment under normal circumstances, Poseidon would never admit that Chen Haitian's talent was qualified to become the successor of Poseidon. Even someone as talented as himself only got the top 8 tests, not the 9 tests of Poseidon. But now that the gods have all given up their throne inheritance, it is estimated that the standards will be lowered. Although a 17-year-old level 48 soul sect member could not compare to her, his cultivation speed was a rare talent in the entire continent that only appeared once in 100 years. If this kind of talent plus the great sea martial soul cannot qualify one to be the successor to the throne of God, then I am afraid that no one in the world today can qualify to be the successor to the throne of the sea god. Having said that, it was still uncertain, and Poseidon did not dare to guarantee it, so he left room for doubt and said, "Whether you are qualified or not is not decided by me, but by Lord Poseidon. Whether he can become the successor of Lord Poseidon, after returning to Poseidon Island, he can go to any of the 7 sacred pillars to verify it. If he is qualified, Lord Poseidon will grant him the 9 trials of Poseidon." "Oh, right." Poseidon suddenly remembered the business and asked expectantly, "I wonder if Lord Poseidon's heart of the sea is with you." However, the answer from the old man in black robe was destined to disappoint her. "Heart of Poseidon? What is that?" The old man was puzzled, but he knew why Poseidon asked this question, so he answered, "The heart of the sea god you mentioned is indeed not from our Chen family. Perhaps the other illegitimate children of the sea god ancestor took the thing you mentioned with them when they left the sea god island. However, the ancestor of the sea god was a playboy and had countless illegitimate children. After so many years, it is not easy to find the branch that took away the sea god's heart in the vast continent." Seeing Poseidon's disappointed look, the old man asked, "Why is the heart of Poseidon important?" Poseidon did not hide anything and spoke frankly, "Without the heart of Poseidon, the inheritor of Poseidon will be stuck at the last step of the inheritance of the throne and will not be able to inherit the throne of Poseidon. Do you think this is important?" Now, it was the old man in black robe's turn to be anxious. How could this be? It was that damned lineage that stole the heart of the sea god when they left the sea god island. What on earth did they want to achieve by doing this? That man, the sacrificial grandfather, the high priest. Suddenly, Chen Haitian, who had been silent since a while ago, interrupted, "I haven't even confirmed that I can become the successor of Poseidon, so shouldn't the focus now be on taking me to the 7 sacred pillars of Poseidon Island for a test?" End of this chapter. Chapter 227. The first encounter between an angel and a fox. A slight rustling sound was heard in the quiet forest. "Young Master, the people from the Spirit Hall have arrived at Xiandao City." Tyrone, who had become much thinner, stood under a big tree with his head lowered so that his facial expression could not be seen clearly. "Coming already." Tang San sat cross-legged in a lush patch of blue-silver grass. He exerted force with both hands and tore off a large piece of fragile blue-silver grass. It's a pity that the Spirit Hall is known as the strongest force on the continent, but it doesn't dare to go to war with the Sky Dou Empire. The Spirit Hall had a grudge against him for killing his mother and humiliating his father. The Sky Dou Empire took advantage of his misfortune and snatched away the Yuan left to him by his aunt. Both of them are behemoths that must be eliminated in the future if the Spirit Hall really goes to war with the Sky Dou Empire. Both sides will inevitably suffer heavy losses, and it will affect the situation of the entire Douluo continent. Since ancient times, heroes have emerged in troubled times. The Tang clan took advantage of this opportunity to rise up and dominate the world in troubled times, but the Spirit Hall did not go to war with the Sky Dou Empire, which made Tang Sam very angry. "Young Master, according to reliable information, the meeting place between the Xiandao royal family and the Spirit Hall will still be at Yuan." Tai Long seemed unaware of Tang San's mood at the moment, and spoke in a dull tone. "About 2 months ago, Tang San took his father Tenruo away saying that he was going out to obtain the 4th spirit ring. In the end, only one of Tang San and his father Tenruo came back." Tang San told Tai Long that after he absorbed the 4th soul ring, he met a 10,000-year-old human-faced demon spider when he was leaving. In order to cover him, Tai Long stopped the 10,000-year-old human-faced demon spider alone. It is unknown whether Tino is alive or dead, but he has not returned until now, so he must be in great danger among the powerful clan. Titan is missing and Tino's life or death is uncertain. Therefore, Tai Long, who now has only the cultivation level of Soul Master, succeeded the position of the patriarch of the Power Clan. On the day Tang San returned, Tai Long saw the 4 spirit rings on his body with his own eyes. Purple, 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 and black. 3 purple and 1 black. Level 43 Soul Master. 1 ring for 1,000 years. 4 rings for 10,000 years. Black is not conspicuous, but the pitch black 10,000 year soul ring on Tang San is so dazzling in Tai Long's eyes. He didn't know what happened during the soul hunting process, but if Tang San hadn't insisted on obtaining the 4th soul ring of 10,000 years, his father would not have died. Since the dark blue silver emperor martial soul already has the ability to devour, then why not obtain a 1,000-year soul ring, and then slowly use the devouring ability to upgrade the 4th soul ring from 1,000 years to 10,000 years. His grandfather and father left him one after another. It was all Tang San's fault. The overwhelming hatred made Tai Long want to cut Tang San into pieces, but reason told him that he was only a soul master, and a pure power soul master who was completely suppressed by the control system. Tang San is already a level 43 soul master, and his mutated dark blue silver emperor martial soul is also mysterious and extremely dangerous, unable to defeat Tang San head-on. Tai Long had no choice but to continue pretending to submit to Tang San, and secretly put those unknown medicinal powders into the medicinal food carefully. In Tang San's eyes, Tai Long has always been a simple-minded, strong-limbed, stubborn and obedient fool who always follows his grandfather Tai's orders. The advantage of this personality is that they are obedient and loyal, but the disadvantage is that they have low emotional intelligence and don't use their brains when encountering problems. For example, now, knowing that he was in a bad mood, she told him that the place where the spirit hall and the Shan Dou royal family would meet was the Yuxun left for him by his aunt. If you can't speak, shut up and get out of here, Tang San said angrily and drove Tai Long away. Afterwards, he saw that the surrounding plants had shown some signs of withering, so he got up and left, finding a new place in the forest to continue devouring. This is the mimicry training ground built by Shan Dou Royal Academy, specifically for plant-type soul masters. It is not his own property, so Tang San did not feel sorry at all when he devoured it. Use the resources of the Sky Dou Empire to grow, and then destroy the Sky Dou Empire in the future. A drop of water should be repaid with a spring. He just repays in a different way. What's wrong with that? What's more, the Sky Dou royal family occupied Yuxun and only devoured some of the plant life energy in the mimicry training ground. They can just regard it as interest on occupying Yuxun, and collect the principal when they destroy the Sky Dou Empire in the future. Yuxun, top floor. Standing in front of a Venetian blind, Zhu King pulled the curtain chain and overlooked the hustle and bustle of the outside world. King, there's no need to keep watching there. People from the spirit hall will arrive sooner or later. Ning Feng. He sat at the lower seat on one side of the long square table in the room. He looked at where Zhu King was and spoke elegantly. Coincidentally, at this moment, a team of carriages with the spirit hall's 6-winged angel logo appeared in Zhu King's eyes. King knows that just standing here and overlooking the bustling streets outside is a different feeling. He smiled slightly, pulled the curtain chain to close the blinds, and walked directly to the first seat at Ning Feng's end. On the other side of the first seat, Prince Zuxing sat there with a gloomy expression, saying nothing, quietly waiting for the arrival of the spirit hall envoys. After a while, footsteps were heard on the stairs outside the room. Old bitch, how come you're still a gatekeeper after all these years? Yu Yuan ghostly walked at the front of the spirit hall's envoys group. After seeing Sword Douluo Chengxin guarding outside the gate, Yu Yuan couldn't help but make sarcastic remarks. Humph. Childish, Jian. Douluo ignored Yu Yuan's ridicule, turned around handsomely, and his flowing long hair drew an arc in the air with a squeak. The luxurious door made of agarwood was pushed open, and Shenzhen took the lead and walked to the seat next to Ning Fengzi and sat down. After the spirit hall envoys walked into the room, Yu Yuan and Gimri each took a step to the side, revealing the young woman behind them. Your Highness, please take a seat. The Yu Yuan ghost bowed slightly and spoke respectfully to the woman between them. Hulina, who is already the holy maiden of the spirit hall, calmly accepted the salute from the two titled Douluo and walked straight to the first seat at the other end of the long square table and sat down. Zhu King, Crown Prince of Xiaotian, am I addressing you wrong? After sitting down, Hulina looked at the young man opposite her who was dressed in royal attire and said, so, the saint is intelligent. Zhu King answered politely, but his hands hidden in his sleeves were clenched tightly together the moment he saw Hulina. You have become the saint of the spirit hall at such a young age. You must be extremely talented and have been recognized by all the elders of the spirit hall, just like the current pope when he was young. Excuse me, how old is the saint this year? What's the level of her soul power? Hearing this, Hulina smiled happily and replied, asking a strange woman's age when meeting her for the first time is not the manners of a crown prince, but since the crown prince has already asked, I can't refuse. It's our first time meeting. Let me introduce myself. My name is Hulina, the Saintess of the Spirit Hall. I'm 18 years old and a level 53 Control Spirit King, an 18-year-old 53 level Soul King. Such talent was unanimously recognized by the elders of the Spirit Hall. They unanimously approved Bibi Dong's proposal that Hulina become the Holy Maiden of the Spirit Hall, and Holy Maiden Hulina represented the Spirit Hall to come to the Sky Dou Empire. End of this chapter. Chapter 228 Spirit Hall's Sincerity. 18 years old, 53 level Soul King. Zhu King pondered, a barely perceptible surprise flashing in his eyes. Ms. Who is truly gifted. No wonder she is able to become the saint of this generation of Spirit Hall. His tone was calm and gentle, making people feel like spring breeze, but beneath this calm appearance, the hands hidden in the sleeves were almost pierced by the nails. Hulina's cultivation speed obviously exceeded Zhu King's expectations. When he was 18 years old, his soul power was only around level 53, although this was due to the fact that he had not practiced seriously, at least at the age of 18. Hulina was on par with himself. Hulina reported her age and soul power level, which shocked Prince Zuxing, and a hint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Ning Fengzi also showed a perfect look of surprise at the right time. Only Sword Douluo Chenzin still had an icy face. Your Highness, thank you for your praise. My achievements today are inseparable from the great help given to me by my teacher, who. Lina restrained her seductive aura, and smiled appropriately yet dignifiedly, and said modestly, I heard that your country's third prince showed a very high talent in spiritual master cultivation in his early years. If the crown prince's third brother were still alive, his spiritual power level might be higher than mine. Oh, sorry. As if realizing that it was inappropriate to say this, Hulina smiled apologetically. It's okay, Miss Hu didn't mean it. Zhu King didn't seem to care at all about others mentioning his dead third brother. He just looked emotional and said, although my third brother has an amazing talent as a soul master, God is jealous of his talent. People who are too outstanding will always encounter many hardships during their growth, and most of them die young. No matter how talented one is, if one cannot grow up smoothly, he or she will only be a passing figure in the history books, leaving a fleeting glimpse of him or her, which will be a pity for future generations. That's all. The atmosphere changed subtly at this moment, and the people from the Spirit Hall looked at Zhu King with a hint of hostility, but Zhu King seemed to be completely unaware of this. He sat in the main seat with a normal expression, looking at Hulina sitting opposite him, and said, of course, this kind of thing will definitely not happen to Miss Hu. The Spirit Hall has a transcendent status and a huge size. As a saint of the Spirit Hall, you will definitely not encounter unexpected changes that prevent you from growing up, as long as your teacher is still the Pope. There was a hidden meaning in these words, but among the people present, only Ning Fengzi, who knew some of the hidden meaning, understood the hidden meaning. No one else could understand, including Hulina, the Holy Maiden of the Spirit Hall, although Bibi Dong knew that if she sent Hulina to represent the Spirit Hall to negotiate with the Sky Dou Empire, she would definitely meet her daughter Jinring Su, who was pretending to be the Crown Prince Zhu King. But what happened in the secret room that year was Bibi Dong's lifelong pain. If necessary, she would not tell anyone. Naturally, she would not tell Hulina that her teacher and her master's master had a daughter. Hulina didn't know about Jinring Su's existence, so she couldn't imagine that apart from herself, there was anyone else who could shake her teacher Bibi Dong's position as Pope. Therefore, Hulina responded with a smile, then I will accept your good words, Your Highness. After talking so much about irrelevant things, it's time to talk about some serious matters. She put away her smile, straightened her expression, took out a gold-stamped document from her soul guide and placed it on the table. With a slight force, she slid it just in front of Zhu King. Although Seraph has defected from the Spirit Hall, he was once the Platinum Bishop of our Spirit Hall and served as the Bishop of the Sky Dou Empire's Spirit Hall for more than 10 years. Therefore, our Spirit Hall needs to bear some responsibility for the crime he committed today, but this is the first and last time. From now on, no matter how terrible the disaster Seraph causes, it has nothing to do with our Spirit Hall. The letter shows the sincerity of our Spirit Hall. If your country is satisfied, please release Bishop Lawrence and his party as soon as possible. If your country is not satisfied, you can discuss it with me. As the saint of the Spirit Hall, I can fully represent the Spirit Hall on this trip. Zhu King waited for Hulina to finish speaking in a neither humble nor arrogant manner before he picked up the gold embossed document on the table and opened it to take a closer look. Just as Hulina said, Spirit Hall was sincere this time and offered 6 kinds of generous compensation. 1. A 10,000-year-old soul bone. The age of the soul bone is less than 20,000 years, and the location of the soul bone is not limited. 2. Choose any 10 rare documents from the Spirit Hall collection. 3. 10 volumes of notes on title Douluo's cultivation experience. 4. Provide the locations of some rare soul beasts marked by the Spirit Hall. 5. When the Sky Dou Empire sends troops to conquer the Sky Dou Empire, the Spirit Hall will once again help with all its might. 6. The Spirit Hall will no longer interfere in any internal affairs of the Sky Dou Empire. To be fair, if Zhu King was not Jinriksu in disguise, the first 5 of the 6 types of compensation in the document would not be comparable to the 6th. Although Xiandao and Xingluo are the only 2 empires in Douluo continent, they are both powerful. However, the Spirit Hall still relies on its transcendent status to constantly interfere in the internal affairs of the 2 empires. Therefore, just this 6th article, that Spirit Hall will no longer interfere in the internal affairs of the empire, is enough to make the Xiandao royal family extremely satisfied. But Zhu King is Jinriksu in disguise. If nothing unexpected happens, he will become the ruler of the Xiandao Empire in the future. By then, it won't matter whether the Spirit Hall interferes in the internal affairs of the Xiandao Empire or not, because they are all family anyway. Of course, Spirit Hall is sincere. I have no objection. After reading the document, Zhu King handed it to Prince Zuxing, who was sitting on his right, and said, "Uncle, take a look. If there are no problems, then this matter is settled." Zhu King did not show the document in his hand to Ning Fengzi, because although Ning Fengzi was his teacher, he was not a member of the royal family. After all, there are 2 main reasons why Ning Fengzi appeared here. The first is to show the royal family's appreciation for the 7 treasures glazed tile sect and maintain the relationship between the 2 major forces. The second is that at least 1 title Douluo is needed to maintain order in the face of the Spirit Hall envoy group that will definitely be accompanied by a title Douluo Dugubo, who is serving as a royal priest, is in seclusion. So when it comes to selecting a title Douluo, the Xiandao royal family only has one choice, the 7 treasures glazed tile sect. Zuzing didn't say anything, but just silently took the document and looked at it. After a moment, when he saw the 6th compensation in the document, he showed an expression of disbelief. In order to confirm that what was written on the document was true, he looked at Ulina and asked, "As long as this matter is written off, the Spirit Hall will no longer interfere in the internal affairs of our Heaven Dou Empire. Is this true?" "There is no deception, of course." Hulina answered affirmatively, "I swear in the name of the Saint of the Spirit Hall that as long as this matter is written off, the Spirit Hall will no longer interfere in the internal affairs of the Heaven Dou Empire and will never commit any fraud." End of this chapter. Chapter 229. Doubts in my heart. Although she didn't know why the teacher offered such conditions, she believed that the teacher must have her own considerations and she just needed to follow her instructions. "I hope you guys at Wuhan Hall will do what you say." Zhu Xing put down the document in his hand, and without even looking at Zhu King, he said, "I have no objection. You can decide for yourself." Now, everyone from the Spirit Hall turned their attention to Zhu King. "Okay, since the Emperor's uncle has no objection, then it's settled." Zhu King clapped his hands, looked straight ahead, and said straight to the point, "Take out the things. Once I have selected them, I will immediately send someone to release Bishop Lawrence and his companions who are imprisoned in the dungeon. Your Highness the Crown Prince is indeed quick-witted and straightforward." Hulina appropriately released her charm and smiled sweetly. "My teacher asked me to carry my things with me before I left." She waved her hand, and after a flash of light, a pile of items appeared on the table: soul bones, documents, notes, soul beast information. "All of these are here. Please take your pick." On the long rectangular table, items are divided into 4 categories: 5 heavy lead boxes, dozens of old books, 10 volumes of notes, and a booklet. The booklet records the locations of rare soul beasts. Due to their rarity, there are not many records. Only a thin booklet. The notebook contains the cultivation experience of title Douluo. There are only 10 volumes, and there is no choice. Old books are precious documents, and you can choose any 10 from dozens of books to copy. The heavy lead boxes contain 10,000-year-old soul bones. There are 5 lead boxes, each containing a 10,000-year-old soul bone. Teacher Zhu King did not move rashly, but looked at Ning Fengzi on his left. Ning Fengzi immediately understood and whispered to Jian Douluo, who was sitting next to him, "Thank you, Uncle Jian." The 10,000-year soul bone has an extremely strong magnetic field, and Jinring Su, disguised as Zuking, is just a soul master. If she rashly opens the lead box to check the soul bone, she will definitely make a fool of herself in front of everyone in the spirit hall. Among the people present, Zuking and Zuzing are not good enough. Although Ning Fengzi is a soul saint, he is an auxiliary type. Therefore, the matter of opening the lead box and checking the soul bones can only be left to Sword Daluo Chenzin. Chenzin stood up, walked to the 5 lead boxes, opened them one by one, and took out the soul bones inside. The moment the lead box was opened, the huge magnetic field released by the 10,000-year soul bone filled the luxurious room. The magnetic fields of the 5 10,000-year soul bones overlapped, and the enormous pressure made it difficult for those with weaker cultivation to breathe. Seeing this, Chenzin, Yu Yuan, and Gui Mei all released their tidal Daluo auras to offset the magnetic field of the 5 10,000-year soul bones superimposed on each other. For the people on their side without the influence of the spirit bone's magnetic field, everyone turned their eyes to the 5 10,000-year-old spirit bones on the table. Among the 5 soul bones, there are 2 right leg bones, 1 left leg bone, 1 right arm bone, and a precious skull. If you slightly sense the strength of the aura emitted by the soul bones, you will find that among the 5 soul bones, the most precious skull soul bone has the weakest aura, which means it is the youngest, while the one with the strongest aura is one of the 2 right leg bones. There are 5 10,000-year-old soul bones. Although they are all less than 20,000 years old, they are still extremely precious. Even a tidal Daluo would be greedy when seeing them in the entire room. There was only one person who looked at the 5 soul bones without any greed, and that was Zuking. The Jin family of the Spirit Hall has 6 pieces of angel suits that are 99,999 years old. Zuking has already absorbed 1 head soul bone, and there are 5 more waiting for him to inherit. They were just 5 soul bones that were less than 20,000 years old. Zuking didn't even look at them, let alone be greedy. Among the 6 soul bones, the torso bone is the most precious, followed by the skull bone. Since the Spirit Hall is reluctant to give out the torso bone, I will choose the head soul bone. Zuking put the head soul bone among the 5 soul bones back into the lead box, then randomly selected 10 books from dozens of documents, and finally put away the 10 volumes of notes and a booklet, and ended this selection. The trunk bones are very precious, but it's not that our Wuhan Hall is reluctant to take them out. It's just that the 10,000-year-old trunk bones stored in the hall are all over 20,000 years old, which does not meet the requirements. Who? Lena responded while tidying up the things on the table. Soon, she finished packing her things, looked at Zuking, and asked directly, "Your Highness, now that the choice has been made, should we release the imprisoned Bishop Lawrence and his party?" "Of course, our Sky Dou Empire is trustworthy and will not go back on its word." Zuking took out a golden token, slid it across the table in front of Helena, and said, "In addition, here's my identity token. Seeing the token is like seeing me. Give this token to the captain of the guards downstairs, and he will lead you to the dungeon and release your people." "Who?" Lena picked up the token. The token is simple in style, but it contains a special energy flow, and there is a word engraved on it. Seeing the token is like seeing the person. The energy flow contained in the token is a means to prevent others from forging it. But why did she see a faint and holy aura of light from the token? Does the swan martial spirit have sacred attributes? Of course not. Lena was confident that she was not wrong. After all, her eyes were blessed by the divine artifact Eyes of Desire. Since there is no way you can be wrong, then the problem is serious. So, this Prince Zuking secretly defected to our Spirit Hall. She didn't show it on her face, but she was secretly suspicious in her heart. The holy aura of light, could it be the 6-winged angel of the Jin family? Is he joining the Jin family of the Spirit Hall? No wonder you dare to say that if my teacher is not the Pope of the Spirit Hall. Indeed, only the Jin family has the ability to shake my teacher's position as the Pope. Who? Lena silently kept this guess in mind. On the surface, she just glanced at the token indifferently and handed it to Ghost Daluo. "Gimme, Ghost Elder, thank you for making the trip, Ghost." Daluo took the token, bowed slightly, and said, "It is my honor to serve Her Highness the Saint." He walked out of the room, and when he was going down the stairs, he accidentally bumped into a servant in blue at the corner. "Okay." The servant stuffed a note into Ghost Daluo's hand, and seeing that there was no one around, he quickly opened it and took a look. "Tonight at midnight, we will meet 10 miles east from the outskirts of Xiandao City." At the end of the note, There was a green dragon-shaped vine printed on it. As soon as he finished reading, the note burned without fire and turned into dust and dissipated into the air. Green dragon-shaped vines, the mark of the Xiaotian Lin family. I wonder what the Lord wants from me and Hongjun at this time. I hope it's not too difficult. Gimme. Adjusted his expression and continued walking down as if nothing had happened. He soon walked outside Yuan and handed the token to the captain of the Imperial Guards, who was waiting there. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, 2 Stars of 2 Eras. The mission of this trip to Xiaotian was successfully completed, and Hulina finally had the time to look around her. The top floor of Yuan was once the private space of the former owner of Yuan. All the furnishings here are carved from agarwood, which is extremely luxurious, yet elegant and quiet. The light and elegant woody scent permeates the air, having a calming effect on the mind. I have heard of Madame Yu's name even though I am far away in Wuhan City. But I came here today, but I have no chance to see her in person. What a pity. There seemed to be a sigh, and Hulina's eyes turned, with a genuine sadness between her eyebrows. She stared at Zhu King and said, among all the women in the world, besides my teacher, the one I admire the most is Madame Yu, Tang Yuhu. Although she is from the Xiaotian sect, I admire her for being able to create such a large family business as Yuan. As a woman, I can't see Madame Yu anymore, but I have heard that Tang San, the son of Xiaotian Douluo and Madame Yu's nephew, has now settled in Xiandao City. As the saying goes, a tiger father will have a dog son. Clear Sky Douluo is famous throughout the world. In the records of my Spirit Hall's Spirit Awakening, Tang San is also a rare innate full spirit power that only appears once in 100 years. Not only that, I heard that Tang San, like my teacher, has twin spirits. The Spirit Awakening record is blue silver grass, so the other spirit must be Clear Sky Hammer. Xiaotian Douluo and teacher were the two most gifted geniuses of their time. As teacher's only disciple, I have always wanted to see the demeanor of the son of Xiaotian with my own eyes. I wonder if His Royal Highness the Crown Prince can introduce him to me. It was Yu Yuan who told Bibi Dong that Tang San had twin martial souls, and then Bibi Dong told Hulina Yu Yuan's theoretical speculation. Although Hulina scoffed at Yu Yuan's theories, she was indeed curious about Tang San, the son of Xiaotian. The useless spirit blue silver grass and the innate full soul power appeared on the same person at the same time. She really wanted to see with her own eyes what was so special about Tang San. Tang San's father Tang Hao's talent is not as good as her teacher Bibi Dong, so she, as a disciple, must not be worse than Tang San. Even if Tang San really has twin martial souls, as long as the other party has not obtained the divine inheritance, his future achievements will never reach her level. Tang San. Zhu King was stunned. He hasn't paid attention to Tang San's news for a long time since Tang Yuhu's funeral, but fortunately, Tang San is a student of Xiandao Royal Academy, and half of the management rights of Xiandao Royal Academy are in his hands. Therefore, even though he never took the initiative to find out about Tang San's situation, he still knew a little about Tang San's situation in the academy. At this time, Tang San should be practicing in the simulated training ground of my Xiandao Royal Academy. It is a taboo in the Spirit Master world to disturb others' practice rashly. Let's do it next time. He said this not with good intentions to stop Hulina from meeting Tang San, but simply because he didn't want to be with Hulina. Practice? That's such a pity. Hulina pretended to sigh and said, since I have no chance to meet the son of Xiaotian Douluo, why don't you take me to your Xiandao Royal Academy, the first academy of the Xiandao Empire? I really want to see it. I wonder if I can have this honor? After saying this, she did not wait for Zhu King to agree or refuse, and continued, Your Highness, you have already rejected me once. Rejecting a girl twice in a row is not the behavior of a gentleman. I just want to visit the academy. Will His Royal Highness the Crown Prince satisfy this small request of mine? As she spoke, Hulina looked at Zhu King with her bright eyes pitifully, as if tears would fall from her eyes in the next second. My pleasure. Zhu King stood up from his chair gracefully and made a gesture of invitation. Of course, he was not deceived by Hulina, but his image in front of everyone was that of a gentle and approachable gentleman, which could not be easily destroyed. For this reason, he could only hide all his frustration and dissatisfaction in his heart, and led Hulina on the road to Xiandao Royal Academy. With a forced smile at the foot of the mountain, next to the lake, Zuking and Hulina walked side by side on the path leading to the mountainside. The mountains and rivers are accompanied by the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers. Your academy has beautiful scenery, much more beautiful than our Spirit Hall Academy. It is worthy of being a royal academy built with the efforts of the whole country. The funds are indeed abundant. Lina turned around and looked at the forest behind her. Her eyes turned and she said, "The forest behind us must be the mimicry training ground for plant-type soul masters, right? Not bad?" Zuking nodded slightly, trying his best to maintain a gentlemanly and easygoing image. "Tang San is practicing in that forest. Miss Hu, do you want to go over and take a look?" He said this in order to retreat, but he never expected Hulina to play against the norm. "Of course, Your Highness, do you want to join us?" Lina had already said this, and in order to maintain her character, Zuking had no choice but to nod and accompany her to the forest at the foot of the mountain. At this moment, Tang San was still searching the forest for places to devour the life energy of plants, completely unaware of the arrival of two uninvited guests. The dense forest is quite quiet, with only the occasional sounds of birds and insects briefly breaking the silence. Walking along the forest path, Hulina saw something through the eye of desire. Some of the plants on the roadside are growing well, but others are in a sluggish state and are almost wilting. "No way," Hulina said secretly. She thought that only the students in Xiandao Royal Academy were not good, but the hardware facilities of the academy were still top-notch. But no one expected that such a situation would occur in this forest, which serves as a training ground for plant-type soul masters. There is definitely no shortage of funds for the Royal Academy, and embezzlement of funds would not have led to the current situation in the forest. So, those plants that are almost wilting are caused by humans. Who could it be? After going deeper into the forest, their direction of walking was no longer led by Zuking, but Hulina took Zuking to wander around in the forest behind the seemingly aimless wandering. Hulina was actually constantly adjusting her direction based on the abnormalities of the forest plants. She had a hunch that Tang San was the real culprit behind the decline of the plants in this forest. It's not that Hulina didn't think about the possibility of other people, but who could blame her for wandering in the forest for so long without meeting a single student? It is impossible that the Royal Academy would not have any students with plant-type martial spirits. But even Hulina, who came here for the first time, knew the customs of Xiandao Royal Academy. But even so, after seeing it with my own eyes, I couldn't help but sigh that such a good venue and resources of the Royal Academy were wasted. End of this chapter. Chapter 231, Rising Up and Taking Action. Somewhere in the forest, Tang San, who was devouring the life energy of the surrounding plants, made use of the blue-silver grass that was everywhere in the forest and learned that two humans were approaching here. "Why? Is there another playboy here looking for girls and women?" Tang San immediately stopped swallowing. He had encountered the same situation several times before, where a noble student brought a young girl to the forest to play, so he preconceived that the two people that blue-silver grass told him about were the same. What? Bad luck. Never mind. Let's go to another place. Tang San was about to turn around and leave, but before he had taken a few steps, a voice came to his ears. "Brother Tang, please stay." The voice sounded familiar, and Tang San turned around with a little curiosity, and saw Zuking walking towards him with a girl with a delicate face, full of charm and seduction. "Oh, it turns out to be His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." Tang San said coldly. The charm emanating from Hulina made him unable to help but look at her several more times. Zuking is actually Jinriksu in disguise, and Hulina's charm and temptation have little effect on the same sex. But Tang San is a real person of the opposite sex, and his many years of being a virgin has made Hulina's temptation to him reach its extreme. Reluctantly retracting his gaze towards Hulina, Tang San said bluntly to Zuking, "I thought that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince was a man of honor and dignity, but I didn't expect that he would play such a charade behind the scenes. I must have misjudged you." Hearing Tang San's somewhat sarcastic tone, Zuking and Hulina were stunned at first. Then the two of them quickly understood what was said, and their faces turned red all the way to their ears. Zuking and Hulina instinctively moved a few steps to the side, and then cursed in unison, "Dirty, huh?" Hearing this, the three people present were stunned. Tang San realized that things were not what he thought, so he remained silent and stood there without saying anything. Hulina and Zuking looked at each other with some surprise in their eyes. Ahem. Zuking quickly realized that he was a man now and should not have that kind of reaction just now, so he coughed twice awkwardly. trying to change the subject. Brother Tang, you misunderstood. How could I be that kind of person? He pointed at Hulina and introduced her to Tang San. Let me introduce you. This is Miss Hulina Hu, the saintess of the Spirit Hall. Then, he pointed at Tang San and introduced him to Hulina. Tang San, the son of Clear Sky Douluo, saintess of Wuhan Palace. Hearing these 5 words, Tang San's eyes changed immediately when he looked at Hulina. The slight excitement just now disappeared without a trace, and was replaced by cold scrutiny and subtle murderous intent. What do you mean, Your Highness? He asked Zhu King in a cold tone with an expressionless face, knowing that there is an irreconcilable feud between him and the Spirit Hall. They still brought their holy maiden to him. Was it intentional to tease him? Prince Zhu King, you are ready to die. Tang San, don't get me wrong, I asked His Royal Highness the Crown Prince to bring me here. Hulina took the initiative to step forward and extended her hand towards Tang San in a seemingly friendly manner. Let me introduce myself. My name is Hulina, and my master is Bibi Dong, the Pope of the Spirit Hall. Get out. Tang San crossed his arms over his chest and uttered a word lightly as Hulina expected. Tang San did not choose to shake hands with her, having already done the superficial work. She withdrew her hand and looked at Tang San wantonly. The Eye of Desire was secretly activated, allowing Hulina to see a lot of things. Level 43. If I remember correctly, he is not even 13 years old. The soul power is contaminated with the aura of 2 martial souls. I didn't expect that the fake master Yu Zaigang actually guessed it right once. It really is a twin martial soul. A 12-year-old soul master. What a talent, not to mention that Tang San is the owner of twin martial souls. Once he solves the disadvantages of twin martial souls like her teacher, there will be endless troubles in the future. Although Hulina still doesn't know whether Tang San has obtained the divine inheritance, the other party is so talented that even if he hasn't obtained it now, the probability of him obtaining it in the future is very high. I heard that your mother died giving birth to you, and your father ignored you. Today I see that you are indeed a wild and uneducated child. Who? Lena originally wanted to say bastard, but her upbringing didn't allow her to use such a rude word. The purpose of her saying this was to provoke Tang San so that he would attack her and use self-defense as an excuse, and then accidentally kill Tang San by excessive self-defense, strangling him in the cradle as expected. Hulina's remarks just now accurately stepped on Tang San's minefield. The rage in his heart was like a volcanic eruption. He stretched out his hand suddenly, and the dragon whisker needles hidden in his fingertips shot out at Hulina's face. After doing all this, Tang San used Ghost Shadow to retreat quickly, and at the same time 2 huge crossbows appeared in his hands. Click 2 sounds. Tang San skillfully loaded the mechanism for this huge crossbow and pressed the firing button without hesitation. The 2 huge crossbows fired at the same time, and 32 crossbow arrows were shot out with a strong burst of sound. When Tang San fired the dragon beard needle, he was very close to Hulina. At that distance, he was confident that Hulina would never be able to dodge the excruciating pain of 10 dragon whisker needles piercing his cheek. Would ensure that the next shot from his huge crossbow would hit the target without a doubt. In Tang San's eyes, Hulina looked no more than 20 years old, and her soul power was at best that of a high-level soul sect or a low-level soul king. With this level of strength, there is absolutely no chance of survival under his continuous attacks. But the facts did not match Tang San's guess. Hulina only has the strength of an initial stage soul king, but she has a magical eye artifact called the Eye of Desire. The moment Tang San raised his hand, Hulina saw the golden particles hidden in the tips of Tang San's 10 fingers. Although she didn't know what it was, her instinctive crisis response made her dodge quickly, and she narrowly avoided the 10 dragon whisker needles shot by Tang San. What? A vicious hidden weapon. Who? Lena saw from the corner of her eye the damage caused by the dragon beard needle shooting into the tree behind her, which made her feel a chill in her heart. Without having time to think, she instantly completed the martial spirit possession, and 5 spirit rings appeared on her body. The first and second 100-year soul rings flickered, and 2 soul skills that could amplify mental power were activated. At the same time, Hulina's eyes shone the wisdom skill soul skill of concentrated spirit, breaking the forbidden divine light. A dazzling beam of light was released from her eyes, instantly shattering 32 crossbow arrows with a devastating force, and continued to shoot towards Tang San in an unstoppable manner. Oh no, it's a mental attack. Tang San thought to himself that something was wrong and hurriedly activated the purple demon pupil to resist with all his might. With a puff sound, Tang San was shot into the air by the forbidden breaking divine light, spit out a large mouthful of blood, flew more than 10 meters, and then fell heavily to the ground and lost consciousness. End of this chapter. Chapter 232 Crazy Idea. Is this the Tang Sect's hidden weapon? Its power isn't that great. Who? Lina walked forward, picked up a huge crossbow on the ground, aimed at a big tree and pressed the launch button with the sound of a mechanism. 16 crossbow arrows were fired from the crossbow rack, piercing the entire tree trunk almost instantly, leaving 2 rows of 16-finger-thick holes on it. Looking at the 16 crossbow arrows that were completely embedded in the trunk of the second big tree, she changed her words. Well, for a soul master of average strength, the power of this hidden weapon is actually quite good. Who? Lina casually put away this huge crossbow in her hand, smiled calmly at Zuking, and said, I am so sorry, Your Highness, just now, in order to test the power of hidden weapons, I caused damage to the Royal Academy's mimicry training ground. It was my fault, but please don't worry, I will compensate you according to the price. Zuking didn't say anything, but just pointed in a certain direction. Lina looked in the direction he pointed. I saw Tang San lying on the grass more than 10 meters away with his face covered in blood, and I didn't know whether he was dead or alive. Oh, yes, there is also Tang San. She seemed to have just remembered that there was such a person, and smiled apologetically. Your Highness, this is not my fault. You saw it just now. He was the first to attack. I was only fighting back for self-protection. Look. Lina pointed to the big tree behind her that was hit by 10 dragon beard needles. Those 10 golden rays could have such a terrifying effect on the tough tree trunk. If I hadn't been strong enough to dodge in time, the 10 golden rays would have shot at my face. In a desperate situation, facing the 32 crossbow arrows shot by Tang San, I had no choice but to use my strongest attack method at the moment. I am standing here because I am strong enough this time. If I were not strong enough or Tang San's hidden weapon was more powerful, I would be the one lying on the ground now. Zhu King remained unmoved, and slowly walked towards where Tang San was, saying without comment, I will make my own judgment on what is right and what is wrong. Tang San certainly made mistakes, and his methods were so vicious and cruel that they are despicable, but Miss Hu, you are not without fault either. If you hadn't deliberately provoked Tang San, things wouldn't have turned out like this. Miss Hu, you'd better pray that Brother Tang San didn't die in your attack just now, otherwise you won't be able to bear the wrath of Xiaotian Douluo. Title Douluo who is determined to take your life will be hard to defend against even with the protection of the Spirit Hall. Right, there is only a thief who can steal for 1,000 days, but you can never guard against thieves for 1,000 days. The title Douluo is determined to take the life of a junior, and will always wait for the right opportunity, no matter what the means. But Lina didn't seem to care about it, or she had already thought of this when she made up her mind to provoke Tang San to attack her. Xiaotian Douluo, yes, he is very strong. He is so strong that he has been hiding for more than 10 years and still dares not show up in public. If Tang Hao really wants to avenge his son, then he can just come to me. Elder Yu and Elder Gui's polar forbidden areas are waiting for his arrival at any time. Who? Lina said so when Tang Hao fought with the former Spirit Hall Pope Jin Zunji. She got a general idea of the situation from the archives of the Spirit Hall. If he had not suffered a serious injury that was difficult to heal, how could a man who dared to kill even the Pope be a decadent blacksmith in a small holy spirit village, relying on alcohol to numb himself all day long? Zhu King walked up to Tang San and squatted, reaching out to feel his breath. He's still breathing, albeit faintly, but at least he's still alive. He took out a delicate handkerchief and quickly wiped the blood off his hands. How is that possible? Lina said in disbelief. Her fox demon was a beast spirit of spiritual attributes, so her spiritual power far exceeded that of her peers. Moreover, she had also absorbed a head spirit bone that was more than 60,000 years old, which more than doubled her total spiritual power. Tang San was only a soul sect leader, and he was only 12 years old. Logically speaking, his mental strength was not enough to block her soul bone skill, the forbidden breaking divine light. Damn it, did Tang San also absorb a piece of skull spirit bone? Yes, with a background of the Xiaotian sect, it is not difficult to prepare a high-quality 10,000-year-old head soul bone for Tang San. Who? Lina secretly said what a pity such a great opportunity to kill Tang San with justification was missed. However, what Lina didn't know was that Tang San didn't absorb any 10,000-year-old skull soul bone at all. and it was impossible for the Xiaotian sect to prepare a 10,000-year-old skull soul bone for Tang San. The reason why Tang San was able to survive her full strength attack of the Divine Light of Breaking the Forbidden was because the Divine Light of Breaking the Forbidden was an attack composed of pure mental power, and Tang San practiced a purple demon pupil, a unique skill of the Tang sect that enhanced mental power. Seeing that she and Zhu King were the only two living people here, Hulina couldn't help but have a crazy idea in her mind, that is to let Zhu King, the crown prince of Xiandao, sleep forever in the ground of this forest with Tang San. But this crazy idea was quickly suppressed by Hulina's reason. Killing the crown prince of the empire would completely provoke a war between the Xiandao Empire and the Spirit Hall. In the current situation on the mainland, the three major empires of Xiandao, Xingluo and Poseidon and the Spirit Hall are in a three-way confrontation. Once the Spirit Hall goes to war with the Xiandao Empire, it will only benefit the Xingluo Empire and the Poseidon Empire. Zhu King stood up and looked at Hulina. He didn't know that there might be an opportunity to kill Hulina just now. If Hulina really tried to kill Zhu King, Jin Ringsu, who had now advanced to the level of Soul Emperor, would have a reasonable excuse to kill her and put the blame on Tang San. With the factor of hidden weapons, it is not impossible that Tang San and Hulina will die together. As a prince with only the cultivation level of Soul Sect, he was naturally powerless to stop all this from happening. But he didn't know. Ms. Hu, you are the one who injured little brother Tang San like this, so please send Tang San to the Academy's infirmary. I will lead the way for you. Zhu King did not give Hulina a chance to refuse and said quickly, look, I gave you so much face before, now it's time for you to give me face. No matter what, I am still the crown prince of a country, representing the face of the empire. It would be detrimental to the image of the royal family if I appeared in front of everyone with someone on my back. But you are different, Miss Hu. No one here knows you, and you don't have to worry about losing the reputation of the Spirit Hall. As the saint of the Spirit Hall, carry Tang San to the Academy's infirmary. Hulina's face changed from blue to purple. Looking at Tang San's blood-stained face, her eyes were full of disgust. End of this chapter. Chapter 233, Ghostly Stealth. But as Zhu King said, now it is indeed her turn to give the other party face. So Hulina thought about it and chose a compromise. After a stick of incense, Hulina dragged a vine with the end of the vine tied to the unconscious Tang San, and walked into the infirmary of Xiandao Royal Academy under the guidance of Zhu King. Xiandao Royal College has extremely strong faculty. The staff in the Academy's medical clinic are all owners of healing martial spirits, and their cultivation must not be lower than level 30. In the entire infirmary, there is at least one Soul Sect level healing soul master on duty 24 hours a day, and there is even a Soul King level healing soul master on duty during the day. The person on duty today is the director of the Royal Academy's infirmary, a healing soul master at the Soul Emperor level, Your Highness. When the director of the medical office saw Zhu King come in, he quickly stood up and bowed slightly. Director Su, Tang San was unfortunately seriously injured during the sparring with this young lady. Please lend a hand and pull Tang San back from the brink of death. Zhu King did not let Director Su cure Tang San. After all, Tang San was so badly injured, and Director Su was only a Soul Emperor. In order to heal such a serious injury in a short period of time, only the head of the Yi family in the entire Xiandao can do it by using the nine-hearted begonia in the state of his martial soul's true body. Understood. I will do my best, Director. Su didn't say much, even though he was very curious why Tang San was dragged into the infirmary by the woman in front of him with a cane. But treating the patient was the most important thing at a moment. At dusk, the sun sets in the west. When Tang San woke up from his coma, Zhu King and Hulina had already left. One returned to the Xiandao Palace and the other returned to the main hall of the Xiandao City Spirit Hall. This is how it happened. Director Su handed a bowl of herbal soup to Tang San, and then asked curiously, "What did you do when you were sparring with that girl that angered everyone?" "That girl used a vine to drag you all the way from the forest to my infirmary." After hearing this, Tang San resisted the urge to throw the medicine in his hand onto the old man in front of him. He was seriously injured and in great pain all over his body. Although the medicine soup was bitter, drinking it could relieve the pain, but it was difficult for Tang San to explain. After all, he was the one who launched the sneak attack first. He couldn't say that his sneak attack failed and was killed instantly by Hulina in one move. Tang San silently drank the bitter medicine in the porcelain bowl, thinking to himself, "You old fool, you dare to mock me, you are already seeking death, and Hulina, if I hadn't cultivated the purple demon pupil, I would have really died in your hands. When I have mastered my cultivation in the future, I will definitely repay you 100-fold for the humiliation you inflicted today." As For Zhu King, you allowed Hulina to kill me. You are destined to die just like your Xian Dao royal family. After drinking a bowl of medicine, the severe pain all over the body gradually eased a lot. Tang San was just about to practice Xuan Gong to recover from his injuries when he suddenly remembered that he was still at the infirmary of Yondao Royal Academy, and there was an old man beside him looking at him, so he endured the pain and returned to the forest. After releasing the blue-silver field and confirming that there was no one around, he immediately recalled the energy of the dark blue-silver emperor that devoured the plants to recover from his injuries, devouring one place after another. The forest only devours a little bit in each place to ensure that it will not be discovered. This continued until nightfall. When Tang San finally recovered from his injuries, this time it was a blessing in disguise. I didn't expect to open up another extraordinary meridian. Every time one of the 8 extraordinary meridians is opened, his cultivation speed will be improved. The faster the cultivation speed, the shorter the time it takes for him to grow. Since you have opened one of the 8 extraordinary meridians this time, I will be merciful and give Hulina a quick death in the future. At midnight, an illusory ghost figure carrying a man in white was sneaking in the darkness under the cover of night. It looked like a female ghost in white flying through the air at a very fast speed, which looked a bit creepy. 10 miles east of the outskirts of Xiandao City, the ghost stopped here and revealed its true appearance, which was Ghost Daluo Gimei, and the man in white brought by the ghost was Chrysanthemum Daluo Yuguan. There was no one here except the 2 of them, but they still bowed and saluted, saying respectfully, I am the ghost, Yu Yuan, and I am here to greet you, sir. As soon as the words fell, ripples appeared in the space, and Lin Rong walked out from the void on the clouds. Yes, my soul power has improved, and my 2 immortal herbs have not been wasted. After nearly a year, Yu Guan and Gui Mei both broke through from the 95th level title Daluo to the peak of the 96th level. Judging from their aura, they are only half a step away from the 97th level. Perhaps they can break through by absorbing a soul bone of even 1,000-year level. Seeing this, Lin Rong was willing to lend a helping hand to the 2 of them, allowing them to break through to level 97. As an advance payment for the reward for completing the next task, a ray of light flew out from his wrist, split into 2 during the flight, and finally hovered in front of Yuguan Gimei. The 2 soul bones are a pair of left and right arm bones. The right arm bone is more than 23,000 years old, and the left arm bone is more than 17,000 years old. Both are spoils of war obtained by the Feng sect. Because Gimei already had a soul bone, he was given a left arm bone that was slightly inferior in age and position. Since Yuguan didn't have any soul bones, what he was given was a right arm bone which was stronger in both age and position. Sir, the 10,000-year-old soul bone was right in front of him, but the Yuguan ghost was hesitant to reach out to take it. As the saying goes, no reward without merit. They were rewarded with 2 10,000-year-old soul bones before they were even told the mission. Doesn't that mean that the task assigned to them by the adults is very difficult? Because they think their strength is not enough, they give them soul bones to improve their strength. Seeing this, Lin Rong said speechlessly, what is there to worry about? I have given you the immortal herbs and the Zhuanshan Guang level of unique skills. Do you still need 2 10,000-year soul bones, Yuguan? And Gimei then carefully held the soul bone in their palms, rubbing it carefully and lovingly. I swear to God, they have worked diligently for the spirit hall for so long, but they haven't even received a single soul bone, and now, the 10,000-year soul bone that they had dreamed of possessing was finally in their hands so easily. After absorbing this 10,000-year-old soul bone, they can become a title Daluo at level 97. Level 97. Even in the worship hall, only the 3rd-ranked worshippers or above have the strength above this level of soul power. After a moment, the ghost who already had a soul bone moved his eyes away from his left arm bone with difficulty, looked at Lin Rong, and asked, Sir, I wonder what orders you have for us to receive this summons. Have you seen the soul bones in your hands? Your mission is related to soul bones. Lin Rong said, pointing at the soul bones in the ghost's hand. End of this chapter. Chapter 234. The Temptation of Soul Bone. It's related to soul bones. Do we have to go to the soul beast forest to hunt 100,000-year soul beasts? Asked the ghost. Soul bones come from soul beasts, and among soul beasts, only soul beasts that have cultivated for more than 100,000 years will definitely drop soul bones. A task related to soul bones required him to complete together with Yu Yuan. The first thing Gui Mei thought of was to use their soul fusion skill, the bipolar forbidden field, to assist Lin Rong in hunting the 100,000-year soul beast. No, it's just a 100,000-year soul beast. It doesn't need the soul fusion technique of the 2 of you. Lin Rong denied it directly. The Soul bones I'm talking about are the soul bones of the spirit hall, or the soul bones owned by various forces on the continent, such. A casual remark exploded in the hearts of Gimme Yu Yuan and others like a bolt from the blue. Sir, did I hear you correctly? Gimme wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, and his hand holding the soul bone began to tremble. You don't want me and Yu Yuan to steal the inherited soul bones of the top forces on the continent, including the spirit hall, right? After Gimme finished speaking, Yu Yuan also turned his gaze away from the soul bone, anxiously waiting for Lin Rong's reply. Steal soul bones? If you have the ability to do that, that's fine. Lin Rong answered cheerfully upon hearing this. Yu Yuan and Gui were so shocked that they almost dropped the soul bones in their hands for the first time. They felt that the 10,000-year soul bone was so hot. I'm just kidding, don't take it seriously. Lin Rong waved his hand slightly and said, the quality of the soul bones of the top forces on the continent varies. Regardless of whether I like them or not, even if I do, I would not be so stupid as to become an enemy of the top forces on the entire continent at this time. What I want is for you to use your status as Spirit Hall elders to persuade Bibi Dong to unite the top forces on the continent as the Spirit Hall Pope and contribute the top-grade spirit bones treasured by each of the major forces as the champion reward for the all-continental high-level Spirit Master Elite competition in 3 years. The Continental Advanced Soul Master Elite competition 3 years later. Yu Yuan and the ghost looked at each other, their eyes full of confusion, but instead of asking why, they asked, but, sir, what excuse should we use to convince Bibi Dong to persuade the major powers to take out their treasured soul bones as the champion reward? There is no convincing enough reason. I think even if the Pope Bibi Dong personally came forward, the major powers would not give this face. Lin Rong had already come up with a solution to this problem. Don't worry, Bibi Dong will agree. And the leaders of all the major forces will also agree, he said with great confidence. The legend of becoming a god at level 100 is no secret among the major forces on the continent. It has been more than half a year since the meteor fell from the sky. The rumors about the inheritance of the gods have long been spread among the top forces on the continent. As elders of the Spirit Hall, you should be very clear about this. All the ghosts in Yu Yuan nodded, vaguely remembering something. Seeing this, Lin Rong continued, 26 meteors means there are at least 26 divine inheritances. The future of Douluo continent will surely be a glorious era, led by a group of inheritors of the gods. It will also be a turbulent era that will completely reshuffle the power structure of the entire continent. Therefore, whoever controls the inheritors of the gods controls the future of Douluo continent. Do you understand, Yu Yuan? Gimme nodded as if he understood. Sir, you want to use the Continental High-Level Spirit Master Elite competition in 3 years to track those god inheritors hiding in every corner of the continent, and the championship prize provided by the Spirit Hall alone is not enough to track all the inheritors of the gods, so we have to let all the forces on the continent take out their treasured soul bones as championship prizes, and use this as bait to lure them out of the dark. Once their identities as the heirs of the gods are exposed, they will have to join a top-level force if they want to grow up safely. Otherwise, they will die. After Yu Yuan finished speaking, Gimme added, Chrysanthemum Pass, you missed one point. The inheritor of the gods will most likely become a legendary god in the future, or at the very least a peerless title Douluo at level 99. If it really comes to that, the top forces on the continent will not want to subdue the inheritors of the gods, but will first try to take away the inheritance of the gods from them. If the inheritance of the gods can be snatched away, after all, compared to letting an outsider recruited halfway become the future leader of our forces, it is more reliable to let our own people obtain this inheritance, and the benefits are more secure. You think so, sir, don't you? That's about right. Lin Rong said without comment, but those forces may not necessarily want the so-called inheritance of gods. For a large force with a long history, unknown things are uncontrollable, not to mention the inheritance of gods, which only existed in legends in the past. For those major forces that don't have a divine inheritance, rather than letting the continent's structure be completely reshuffled because of the divine inheritors, it would be better to kill all the divine inheritors in the cradle so that the continent's structure can remain as it is. Although Yu Yuan Gimme is an elder of the Spirit Hall and has a high status, even higher than the leaders of most forces, but after all, they are not the leaders of any force, and their way of thinking about problems is different, So they have never thought about this, but Lin Rong is different. Although he is a time traveler, he has become the head of the Lin family since birth. He has some understanding of the thinking habits of the leader of a faction. This is unlikely. Yu Yuan couldn't help but question, that's the inheritance of the gods. Don't they want to get it? I don't believe any soul master can resist the temptation of becoming a god at level 100, not bad. Lin Rong clapped his hands and said, no soul master in the world can resist the temptation of becoming a 100th level god, but you haven't figured out one thing yet, becoming a god at level 100 and inheriting the legacy of a god are two different things. First of all, only when one's talent reaches a certain standard can one be recognized by the inheritance of the gods. Even so, it is only a chance to become a god at level 100, not a guarantee of becoming a god. The leaders of those major forces are well aware of their own talents. Most of them can't even reach the threshold of title Douluo, which is level 89 soul Douluo. Even if we put the god's inheritance in front of them, it is estimated that they will not be recognized by the god's inheritance. But it's no wonder you didn't think of this. After all, you are a genius spirit master who has cultivated to the level of title Douluo through your own hard work. Your spirit is the immortal herb Kirantong Xianju, which means you are qualified to spy on the inheritance of the gods. End of this chapter. Chapter 235 Additional Tasks. Sir, what you said makes a lot of sense. When Yu Yuan heard Lin Rong praising him, he couldn't help but smile and said, my martial soul is the legendary fairy herb Kirantong Xianju. If I hadn't been so stubborn and insisted on training a fairy herb martial soul that should be a support system into a strong attack system martial soul, I wouldn't be stuck at level 95 and unable to make any progress. Back then, when he was 6 years old, because he didn't want to be an auxiliary spirit master without the ability to protect himself, based on the indestructible nature of his own spirit, the Kirantong Xianju, he forcibly changed the path of his spirit training from the auxiliary system to the offensive system. Facts have proved that what he did was indeed feasible. Relying on the power of the immortal herb martial soul, he successfully cultivated to the realm of title Douluo, but this also wasted most of the potential of the Kirantong Xianju martial soul. Otherwise, as a title Douluo of the strong attack department, his strength would not be much worse than that of the ghost of the agility attack department. This is the price of forcibly cultivating the immortal grass martial soul, which was originally intended to be an auxiliary system, into a strong attack system martial soul. But Yu Yuan never regretted his choice, even if choosing the auxiliary system could allow him to go further on the road to becoming a title Douluo, because no matter how strong an auxiliary system soul master is, among soul masters of the same level, he is just a vase that will break at the slightest touch. No, I don't mean to praise you, Lin Rong said with some disdain. To cultivate the legendary immortal grass martial spirit into this state is really a waste of such a top-grade martial spirit. If I were you, I would just jump into the river and commit suicide. Okay. He changed the subject. You already know the mission. I don't need to teach you how to convince Bibi Dong to do it, right? Don't worry, sir. We know what to do. Yu Yuan and Gimri answered in unison. It was easy to convince Bibi Dong. All they had to do was state the pros and cons of the matter directly, and then give her some guidance. As the Pope for so many years, Bibi Dong would know what to do. Also, there is one more thing. Lin Rong suddenly remembered something and said, use the authority of the Spirit Hall elders to have all the Spirit Hall branches across the continent keep an eye out for a person named Jixiang. This person is between 9 and 10 years older than me, male, and has an ethereal aura that makes him seem otherworldly. If you find any trace of this person, no matter what urgent matters you have on hand, put them all aside and report the other party's location to me as soon as possible. Although the 7 treasures glazed tile sex chambers of commerce are spread all over the continent, they only cover all the cities in Douluo continent, and do not involve towns and villages outside the cities. The Spirit Hall is different. Even in the smallest village on the continent, there is a branch of the Spirit Hall. Unless Jixiang hides in the mountains and refuses to come out, he will always accidentally run into the people from the Spirit Hall who are scattered all over the continent. Jixiang? A boy between 9 and 10 years old. Yu Yuan asked in confusion. Sir, is there anything so special about this person that you have to go to so much trouble to search for him all over the continent? The ghost thought of something and guessed. Sir, could it be that this Jixiang is the descendant of a god? He believed that he was not wrong, so his tone was quite certain. Whether it is true or not, you don't need to know. Lin Rong neither denied nor admitted it. You just need to use the people of the spirit hall to find his whereabouts. Also, don't think about finding the other party's tracks and arresting them on your own, and then come to me to claim the credit. Although this person's strength is not high, he has a power that transcends the common sense of this world. If the other party is willing to pay the price, even if you attack together, he may be able to exchange 1 for 2. Therefore, after discovering Jixiang's whereabouts, you must tell me immediately. You are not allowed to act privately to avoid alerting the enemy. Alex's undead magic, or the magic system of the Holy Demon Continent, can indeed be regarded as a power beyond common sense in the Douluo continent. As expected, the artifact of the God of Light was in Jixiang's hands. With the nourishment of the artifact of light, the power that Alex's incomplete consciousness could exert was incomparable to that in a weak state. Yes, we understand. Seeing that Lin Rong was unwilling to say more, Yu Yuan stopped asking questions. A power that transcends common sense. The power of God is beyond common sense in their hearts. It can be concluded that Jixiang is a descendant of a god, but his inheritance is a little special and can burst out some of the power of gods. Yes. Lin Rong nodded and asked, how is the relationship between Yu Zhigang and Bibi Dong going? He wanted to know whether Yu Zhigang had played a role in slowing down Bibi Dong's progress in the Rakshasa 9 trials. How should I put it? Yu Yuan and Yu Yuan exchanged a glance and angrily complained, ever since that fellow reconciled with Bibi Dong, his power in the spirit hall has, without exaggeration, reached a level that is not as powerful as the Pope, but better than the Pope. This man relied on Bibi Dong's favor for him and used chicken feathers as a token of authority. A mere great spirit master dared to boss his title Douluo around. He was just short of doing something indecent to us. Is it that exaggerated? Lin Rong was quite surprised after hearing this. He knew that Bibi Dong valued Yu Zhigang very much, but he didn't expect that the other party would go to such lengths for a first love. She was truly a hardcore love-brained person. Bibi Dong allowed Yu Zhigang to run wild, but Jin Daoliu didn't care at all. Although Kayang Sunji and Bibi Dong were in a secret room, and although they were not husband and wife in name, they were husband and wife in reality, and they had a daughter. Jin Daoliu just let Bibi Dong cheat on his son? Just because his son was the one who made the mistake first? No. Isn't he so reasonable? No. The ghost replied, since the death of the previous pope, the high priest not only allowed Bibi Dong to take the position of pope, but also turned a blind eye to her control over the high-level officials of the spirit hall. It can be said that except for the 6 priests in the temple of worship, all other high-level officials in the spirit hall have already surrendered to Bibi Dong, or have been replaced by her own confidants. You are so patient. I think the turtle spirit is more suitable for Kayang Daoliu than the 6-winged angel. Lin Rong couldn't help but complain. From the original novel, we know that Jin Daoliu has always been plotting against Bibi Dong in the other party's imagination. Everything Bibi Dong did was to prepare for Jin Ringsu. If it weren't for the accident of Tang Sen, everything would go as Jin Daoliu had imagined. Then, he looked at Yu Yuan and Gimri and said, in that case, let's disperse. Lin Rong turned his back to the two of them, and his figure gradually disappeared into the night, leaving only a faint voice still spreading in the air. You should also hurry back to avoid being discovered by the spirit hall people. End of this chapter. Chapter 236 Ambush. Day 2. A team of carriages marked with the spirit hall seal slowly drove out of the Xiandao city gate and headed far away towards the south of the continent. On the city wall, Zhu King watched the carriage disappear from his side and then turned and left. The stimulation I received yesterday was quite great. There's Hulina, who is 18 years old and at level 53, and Tang Sen, who is only 12 years old and was able to survive Hulina's full strength attack. He deeply realized that the world has changed. Fortunately, he woke up in time and stopped slacking off on his cultivation a few months ago. He tried his best to postpone any matters that could be postponed and use the squeezed out time for meditation and cultivation. If not for this, he would still be just a soul king. Although his cultivation was already very close to that of a soul emperor, a soul king was still a soul king, and was at the same level as Hulina. This situation was unacceptable to the proud and arrogant Jin Ringsu. On the wide and flat official road the carriage galloped along, and the sound of the wheels rolling was particularly clear in the silent wilderness 10 miles away. A man in black was hiding in the bushes on the side of the official road. Under the black hood was an extremely old face. It was Saris, who was wanted by the Spirit Hall and the Sky Dou Empire. He hid here and waited for the Spirit Hall's carriage convoy to pass by. While waiting, Saris raised his right hand and carefully observed the ordinary-looking hammer in his hand under the sunlight. The bright luster of the hammer seemed to be flashing with arcs of lightning from time to time. This is Thor's magic weapon, Thor's hammer. After returning last night, Lin Rong gave Thor's hammer to Sarath, and asked him to ambush in advance on the road that the Spirit Hall group must take to return to Spirit City, and use the hammer to strike with all his strength after that. Don't worry about anything else, just fight and run 10 miles away. The Spirit Hall's carriage convoy was still moving forward at a balanced speed. There are 2 titled Douluo among their group, and both of them are titled Douluo who possess the soul fusion skill. Therefore, the accompanying personnel of the Spirit Hall were very relaxed about the surrounding security. They sat in the carriage and talked and laughed all the way, completely unaware that there was a person lying in ambush 10 miles away waiting for them to pass by. In the middle carriage of the carriage convoy, Hulina leaned against the window of the carriage, seemingly relaxing and appreciating the beautiful scenery outside the official road, but in fact she was on high alert, observing the movements around her at all times. Yesterday she almost beat Tang San to death. Given the protective nature of the Xiaotian sect, even if no one else said anything, Xiaotian Douluo Tang Hao would definitely avenge his son. Although Tang Hao had already died from the peacock feather hidden weapon mixed with snow swan kissed juice, the key point was that Hulina didn't know about it. In her opinion, even if Tang Hao was seriously injured and could not be cured, he would still be more than capable of dealing with a mere soul king like her. Therefore, she needed to stay alert at all times, and when she heard any unusual movement, she would immediately run to the carriage behind her where the 2 titled Douluo, Yu Yuan and Gimini, were sitting. Even Tang Hao in his prime would be imprisoned in the bipolar forbidden fields of the 2 elders Yu Yuan and Gimini, let alone Tang Hao, who is now seriously injured and dying. As long as she hid beside the 2 elders, she could rest assured and return to Wuhan City safely. As early as yesterday, after Hulina returned to the main hall of the Wuhan Hall in Xiandao City, she told the 2 elders about Tang San's serious injury and dying, so that they could be on guard. In fact, the safest way is to ride in the same carriage with the 2 titled Douluo Yu Yuan and Gimini, but not only would this be embarrassing, it would also fail to lure out Tang Hao, who was hiding in the dark. Rather than being constantly watched by a titled Douluo hiding in the dark, Hulina would rather take a slight risk and take a gamble to keep Tang Hao forever. She is the descendant of the gods and believes that luck is on her side. After Yu Yuan Gimini learned that Hulina had injured Tang San, he also told Lin Rong about it. After Lin Rong knew about it, he asked Sarath to pretend to be the dead Tang Hao to ambush the Spirit Hall. Of course, he did not tell Yu Yuan Gui about this in advance, so that the 2 of them could make the most realistic reactions to emergencies and avoid revealing flaws due to poor acting skills. He had Sarath impersonate Tang Hao and ambush Tang Hao on the road he had to take on his way back to the Spirit Hall for another reason, which was to make Tang Hao or the Xiaotian sect's presence felt in front of the Spirit Hall. After all, the Xiaotian sect had been destroyed in his hands. Although the only people who knew about the destruction of Xiaotian sect were those who participated in it at the beginning, it was still necessary to do so in order to prevent others from getting suspicious, since the name of the Clear Sky sect was used to attract the hatred of the Spirit Hall. It also let Tang San know that he had a titled Douluo father as a backer, so he could do things more unscrupulously and better attract the attention of the Spirit Hall. It is for this reason that Lin Rong gave Thor's hammer to Sarath, so that he could imitate the attack method of Clear Sky Hammer. As a puppet whose mind is controlled by an evil heart, he doesn't have to worry that Sarath will become greedy for a divine artifact like Thor's hammer and run away with it. The official road was flat and wide, and the carriage ran smoothly, quickly covering a distance of 10 miles. Hulina stuck her head out of the window and looked back. In her eyes, Xiandao City had become so small that it was almost invisible. 10 miles away. From here, we are far away from Xiandao City. She thought to herself, if Tang Hao really wanted to launch a sneak attack, he would have ambushed anywhere after this place, and there shouldn't be an ambush here, after all. Just as Hulina thought of this, the power of the eyes of desire made her feel a strong and explosive soul force suddenly erupting on the side of the official road. Without any hesitation, Hulina completed the spirit possession in an instant, and burst out at the fastest speed in her life under the life and death crisis. Relying on her powerful physique after being possessed by the beast martial spirit, she directly broke through the back wall of the carriage and rolled in the air into the next carriage in the bushes. Salus, who had been lying in ambush there for a long time, immediately poured most of his soul power into the Thor's hammer in his hand. As soon as the first carriage in the convoy passed by him, Lin Rong has temporarily sealed the thunder power of this hammer to prevent Sarath from better simulating the attack of the clear sky hammer. An illusory huge hammer shadow suddenly appeared in the air and smashed down towards the direction of the carriage. Bastard! Be bold! 2 loud roars came from the carriage. Yu Yuan protected Hulina and broke through the carriage with Gui. The incident happened suddenly. Even Hulina, who is the most vigilant, did not expect to encounter an ambush just 10 miles away from Xiandao City, let alone the two Yu Yuan and Gimri who were proud of their powerful strength. Therefore, faced with this sudden attack, they had no time to rescue anyone except Hulina. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Blood Oath. The huge hammer fell to the ground, and dust flew up for a moment. When the flying dust settled, in a huge deep pit, a phantom of a chrysanthemum emitting a faint golden light protected Yu Yuan, Gui, and Hulina. The rest of the pit was in ruins, with no one left alive. Asshole, you ran away after the sneak attack. If you have the guts, stay and fight to the death. Judging from the phantom of the giant hammer and its power, Yu Yuan and Gimri could almost conclude that the person who had just launched a sneak attack was Xiaotian Douluo Tang Hao. Yu Yuan's soul power reached level 97, and his martial soul's true form was strengthened again, but the attack just now almost broke the defensive light curtain emitted by his martial soul's true body. Although his Kirin Tong Xianzhou is not a defensive martial soul, being able to deliver such a powerful blow even though being seriously injured, he truly deserves the name Xiaotian. However, the opponent's behavior of fleeing immediately after the attack made them more convinced of the severity of Tang Hao's injuries. Alive, alive. Hulina looked at the tragic scene around her and was still frightened. If she had not used the power of the artifact to detect the opponent's attack the moment she made it, and had not narrowly escaped under the protection of the two-titled Douluo, she would have died in the sneak attack today. Your Highness, how are we going to explain this to the Pope? Suddenly, a ghostly voice sounded in her ears. There were more than 10 people in their entire Spirit Hall envoy group that went to Xiandao, but now there are only 3 of them left after the sneak attack just now. The person who can represent the Spirit Hall in the heavenly fight, although his status in the Spirit Hall is not as high as Hulina, the Holy Maiden of the Spirit Hall, or Yu Yuan and Gui, the two-titled Douluo, but it is definitely not lower among those who died. Some were descendants of big shots who came here to gild their reputation, or they were middle and upper-class people who held certain real power in Yu Yuan Gimri's eyes. The reason why those people died was because Hulina, as the saint, injured Tang Sen, thus angering Tang Hao. Don't worry, elders. Hulina calmed down at this moment, looked around silently, and replied, this incident was caused by me alone, and I bear all the responsibility. After returning to Wuhan City, I will apologize to my teacher. Her tone was very calm, without any regret in her voice. Twin martial souls, soul master at the age of 12, this is Tang San in Hulina's eyes. Therefore, she did not regret killing Tang San. She only regretted that she could not kill Tang San and missed the best opportunity to eliminate a great threat to the Spirit Hall as their companions were killed without a trace left. Hulina asked Yu Yuan and Gimri to build a cenotaph next to the place. Then, she bit her finger and wrote a line of blood on the tombstone, the tomb of the Spirit Hall envoys. After writing, Hulina wrote her name in blood at the bottom of the tombstone. It's unlucky to write your name in blood, right? But I have to do it to remember the humiliation I've suffered today. I, Hulina, promise you that I will kill Tang Hao with my own hands in the future and present his head to you, so that he can atone for his crime today. The carriage was destroyed, so they had no choice but to walk back to Wuhan City. The return route does not have to take the main road like a horse-drawn carriage. It will save time to take the mountain path. For example, the Yishinshan Canyon, 500 kilometers away from here, is also the place where Tang Hao died. Is everything done? Lin Rong sat on a wooden chair, carving a piece of wood in his hands, and asked without turning his head. My lord, it has been done. Behind him, Sarath saluted respectfully, presented Thor's hammer with both hands, and said, this is the divine weapon Thor's hammer. Now return it to you, my lord. Yes. Lin Rong nodded, and without him doing anything, Thor's hammer turned into a stream of light and flew into his body. Is Hulina dead or alive? He asked. The future of the Sky Dou Empire is in his hands, so of course he cannot break off relations with the Spirit Hall and waste national strength in vain. Alive. Sarath replied, I know the seriousness of the matter, so I deliberately revealed my aura to Hulina before taking action, so that she could hide under the protection of the two-titled Douluo in time. Before I left, I used my mental power to sense it, so I can't be wrong. That's fine. After Lin Rong finished carving the wood sculpture, he gently blew away the sawdust and turned around and said, "This is none of your business, back off, Seraph." Bowed again and then left silently. I haven't practiced for a while, and my carving skills have regressed. Looking at the dragon-shaped wooden sculpture in his hand, Lin Rong shook his head slightly and destroyed it casually in order to elevate my spiritual realm. I practiced multitasking, and wood carving was just one of those things ever since he broke through to the level of saving all living beings through the Zisajing realm. He no longer practiced multitasking. Anyway, his spiritual realm was already sufficient and he did not need to spend extra time practicing multitasking. I said, "Have you thought about it, Lin?" Rong looked at the old man sitting next to him and said, "I'll give you 3 months. You won't really delay it for 3 months, right?" The old man next to him was Seahorse Douluo. After Lin Rong came back, she asked Yun Wei if she could use the scales of judgment to instill kindness in Seahorse Douluo like her sister did, but Yun Wei shook his head and told him no one like an evil heart which can be forcibly implanted. Implanting a good heart using the scales of judgment requires the willingness of the implanted person to be successful. The implantation of the evil heart requires that the person being implanted has just done something evil in order to trigger the implantation process. The more evil the situation is, the higher the probability of successfully implanting an evil heart. Therefore, Seahorse Douluo does not meet the conditions for implanting an evil heart. And implanting a kind heart also requires the other party's willingness. After all, he was a titled Douluo. Lin Rong had enough strength to handle him anyway, so he simply gave Seahorse Douluo 3 full months to consider during the consideration period, except that Seahorse Douluo was not allowed to leave Lin Rong more than 100 meters away and his freedom was restricted. The rest of the treatment he received was very good, with good food, drink and accommodation. No hurry, wait a little longer. Seahorse Douluo stroked his beard and answered leisurely, "After implanting the heart of kindness, my soul and thoughts will not change, but I am both myself and no longer myself. Just think of it as me reminiscing about the last moments of my life." Seahorse Douluo's attitude is completely different from before. Lin Rong only knew that Yun Wei had asked to chat with Seahorse Douluo alone for a while, and then Seahorse Douluo's attitude changed drastically. He didn't know what Yun Wei had said to Seahorse Douluo, but since Seahorse Douluo had the possibility of surrendering, he gave the other party 3 months to consider. End of this chapter. Chapter 238, The Throne Ceremony. At the top of Poseidon City, in the meeting hall, the 6 sea gods and the 7 sacred pillar guards Douluo gathered here. Still no news about Seahorse. Sea Dragon Douluo asked. Everyone shook their heads. A few days ago, the high priest of Poseidon, showed up and brought back a young man with a golden trident mark on his forehead. The young man is named Xiaotian, and he is the inheritor of the sea god, the 7 sacred pillar guardian. Douluo remembered that the sea god's order was to assist the sea god's descendants in establishing the Sea God Empire and unifying the continent. In other words, Xiaotian is the emperor of their Poseidon Empire. The long vacant throne suddenly had a real owner. In order to announce this good news to the people of the empire and the entire continent, a grand and complicated emperor's coronation ceremony had to be held. As loyal believers of the sea god, the 7 sacred pillar guardians must not be absent from the emperor's coronation ceremony. At that time, only 4 of the 7 pillar guard Douluo were in Sea God City, and the other 3 pillar guard Douluo were away on business, namely Starfish, Sea Spear, and Seahorse. After receiving the news, Sea Star Douluo and Sea Spear Douluo returned to Poseidon City the day before yesterday and yesterday respectively. Only Seahorse Douluo not only did not come back, but there has been no news about him for a long time because this kind of thing had not been thought of in advance. The time for the coronation ceremony had already been set and announced to the world. At this moment, there are less than 7 days left until the Emperor of the Sea God Empire ascends the throne. 7 days may seem like a long time, but in fact it will pass very quickly. If Seahorse Douluo was dealing with some urgent matter, then everything would be easy, and 7 days would be enough for him to get back. But the current situation is that there has been no news from Seahorse Douluo, and they sent people to look for him but could not find any trace of him. The territory of the Sea God Empire is the sum of the western provinces of the former Sky Dou Empire and the Häagen-Dazs Kingdom. Such a territory is neither big nor small for a titled Douluo. If they travel at full speed, they can cross the entire territory of the empire in 2 or 3 days. Therefore, in their opinion, since there was no news from Seahorse Douluo, there was a high possibility that some accident had occurred suddenly. Seahorse Douluo speculated. Hema went to a city on the border of the empire for inspection, But the people in that city had never seen Hema. What do you think? Could it be that he met a tidal Douluo from the mainland on his way to the city, and then, he didn't say any more, but everyone present knew what he hadn't finished saying, that is, the seahorse encountered a poacher at the tidal Douluo level. The continent is vast, the ocean is boundless, there are only a few 100,000-year-old soul beasts. Even in the Xingdao Great Forest, the largest gathering place of soul beasts on the continent, but there are at least dozens or hundreds of 100,000-year-old soul beasts in the ocean this time. The 700,000-year-old sea soul beasts led their tribes to migrate from the ocean to the rivers of the mainland. This gave the tidal Douluo of the top forces on the mainland an opportunity to hunt the 100,000-year-old soul beasts. Over the past few months, there have been many poachers from the mainland who have come to their Sky Dou Empire to poach sea soul beasts, including 7 or 8 tidal Douluo level poachers. Among the many poachers, the most rampant was a force called the Body Sect, which hunted no less than 1,000 sea soul beasts, including no less than 110,000-year-old sea soul beasts. They even almost succeeded in hunting down the blood pattern seal king, one of the 700,000-year-old sea soul beasts. Fortunately, the three-eyed demon whale king was nearby at the time and rescued the bloodmark seal king in time, otherwise the Body Sect would have succeeded. However, news came recently that the three-eyed demon whale king also died in a self-destruction for some reason, leaving only 6 of the 700,000-year-old sea soul beasts. The strength of the Body Sect cannot be underestimated. If Kaba really encounters that group of lunatics, I'm afraid he will be in great danger. Heilong Douluo spoke of the worst possible scenario. He had once encountered a tidal Douluo from the Body Sect while patrolling the city and had fought with him. After the fight, he knew the terrifying strength of the other party. His martial soul was skin, which provided him with unparalleled defense. After unleashing his martial soul's true form, even his strongest attack could only leave a shallow white mark on the opponent's body. Among the 7-pillar guard Douluo, the level 95 Sea Dragon Douluo is already the strongest among them. The others are of average strength among the tidal Douluo, and Seahorse Douluo's strength is at the bottom among them. If you really encounter a tidal Douluo from the Body Sect, the possibility of survival is almost zero. The fact that there has been no news from Seahorse Douluo has undoubtedly confirmed this possibility. An invisible haze hung over their heads, leaving them speechless for a long time. After a long while, the Sea Witch broke the silence and said, "Whether Hable has met with an accident or not, the most urgent task is to give an explanation to the High Priest. Your Majesty's coronation ceremony is imminent. If any of our Sigad 7 Sacred Pillar Guard Douluo are absent from such an important occasion, the Empire will lose face. The only solution now is to find someone to impersonate Kaba and take his place at the coronation ceremony in 7 days. That's the only way." Sea Dragon Douluo took over and said, "I will report this to the High Priest. You guys should stay idle. Not just anyone pretending to be a seahorse can fool the world, therefore, you must pay extra attention to the person who pretends to be Kaba. Don't worry." The Sea Witch was the first to answer among the crowd. "Since I proposed this method, let me do it. Although I am still a little girl in our mermaid clan, I am over 80 years old after all. There are not many of you who are older than me. As the saying goes, the older you get, the more stable you become. Just leave this to me, and rest assured." After saying this, without waiting for their reply, the Sea Witch left the meeting hall with a stream of seawater. Somewhere on the mainland in a classical and elegant garden, Jixiang lay on the ancient wooden armrest, looking towards the west. "Why? You don't want to attend the coronation ceremony, eh?" Young man with blue hair and blue eyes suddenly appeared beside Jixiang and advised, "The vacant throne of the Sky Dou Empire suddenly has an heir. It goes without saying that someone must have been recognized by the Sea Gods' inheritance. As the inheritors of the gods, your status is not lower than the other party, but once you go back, have you ever thought about what identity you will use to face all this? We are equals. An emperor of a country would never allow such a thing to happen. Or are you willing to be a slave and work like a cow or a horse for the inheritor of the sea god?" Hearing this, Jixiang's expression changed. Obviously seeing this, the blue-haired young man took advantage of the situation and continued to persuade, "You have inherited the throne of the god of light. If you recognize the successor of the god of sea as your master, what do you want the god of light to think? When you ascend to the divine realm and become the god of light, will you continue to serve as the sea god's subordinate?" End of this chapter. Chapter 239 Interests and Friendship. Jixiang remained silent and just lowered his head. The blue-haired young man also threw out his final trump card and said, even if you don't care, what about us, as the heirs of the 7 elemental gods? We will become a community of the same blood and branches when we ascend to the divine realm in the future, and you, the god of light, one of the 7 elemental gods, are actually a subordinate of the god of the sea. What will the gods in the divine world think of us then? If you still think that Kemming and I are friends, then stay. If not, then go away. Just pretend that we have never met. Just treat it as a dream and forget it when you wake up. A dream. No longer friends, no. That's not the case. Jixiang raised his head suddenly, looked at the blue-haired young man, and shouted, Minghua, you and Kemming are both my friends. I'll stay. Poseidon. I won't think about what happened over there anymore. Seeing that his provocation was successful, the blue-haired young man held back a smile, and a look of relief appeared on his handsome face. He put his hands on Jixiang's shoulders and said, I knew I was right. You really are our good brother. Come on, accompany me to the starred out great forest. Last time you found a top-notch 4th soul ring for Ming, the Abyss Rift Mantis. So this time, the one you find for me can't be worse than his spirit ring. Jixiang asked with some doubt, you've broken through level 40? But didn't I remember you breaking through level 38 just half a month ago? The blue-haired young man, Luo Minghua, looked at Jixiang with a strange look and answered, don't you know that besides meditation and cultivation, there is another way to cultivate soul power, which is to absorb the remaining soul power in the soul bones that have never been absorbed by the soul master before. A few days ago, the family bought a space-attributed sea soul beast's 10,000-year soul bone from a black market auction. Although the soul bone is in a bad position and is only the worst right leg bone, it is still a 10,000-year soul bone and has space attributes. The 10,000-year soul bone of the sea soul beast? Could it be? Jixiang had a rough guess about the origin of the soul bones and asked, could your soul bone come from the sky jellyfish, one of the 7 sea soul beasts that migrated to the rivers on land? Seeing that Jixiang had guessed the source of the soul bone so quickly, Luo Minghua could not help but admire him. That's amazing. You actually guessed it right, but it is also true that there are very few soul masters in the mainland who go deep into the sea to hunt sea soul beasts, and the soul bones of sea soul beasts are even rarer. Among the 7 sea soul beast tribes that migrated to the mainland, only the Kongming jellyfish tribe has special attributes. No wonder you were able to guess it so quickly. What? Luo Minghua changed the subject and asked jokingly, the Kongming jellyfish clan believes in the sea god. You wouldn't mind if I absorbed their soul bones, right? No. Jixiang explained quickly, haha. I'm just kidding, don't take it seriously. Seeing that Jixiang was fooled, Luo Minghua said with a smile, but speaking of it, space soul beasts are rare, even in the starred out great forest. The space soul beasts I like may not meet the age requirements, and the space soul beasts that meet the age requirements may not be liked by me, but now, there are already groups of space soul beasts in the rivers of the Sea God Empire. I have already absorbed a soul bone from the void nether jellyfish. If I absorb a soul ring from the void nether jellyfish, even if the soul ring and soul bone are not from the same void nether jellyfish, there may be an unexpected increase in power, but even though they are all space jellyfish, their special talents vary due to individual differences. Therefore, I need you to help me select a 1,000-year-old jellyfish with excellent special talent. Luo Minghua actually considered absorbing a 10,000-year level soul bone for his 4th soul ring. After all, the top elemental martial soul that controls the space element made his mental power far surpass that of soul masters of the same level, and he also absorbed the 10,000-year soul bone for his physique. But after careful consideration, he gave up the risk and decided to play it safe. As the successor of the god of space, he has no shortage of future and does not need to take risks to fight for a 4th soul ring that will last for 10,000 years. This is not a difficult matter for Jixiang, or rather, for his teacher. Therefore, he patted his chest and promised, no problem, leave it to me, the teacher. Then, it's settled. Luo Minghua looked up at the time and saw that it was getting late, so he said, it's getting late today, so let's set off tomorrow. You should rest early tonight. I'm leaving now. In his hand appeared a dagger with a transparent texture, like a dagger carved from a pure and flawless crystal. This is exactly the space artifact inherited by Luo Minghua. The space blade. He held the space blade in his hand and slashed it casually in the air, and a space crack appeared in front of him. Before entering the space crack, Luo Minghu looked back at Jixiang and said, "See you tomorrow." After saying that, he dived into the space crack and disappeared. Looking at the place where Luo Minghu disappeared, Jixiang's eyes were full of envy. He also wanted the power to travel through space at will, but his inheritance of the throne is the god of light, and there is no special power in the inheritance, so he can only envy. Suddenly, Electrolux's voice rang out from Jixiang's mind. "After hunting down the void jellyfish, we must return to the Sea God Empire, my disciple. Don't you really want to go back to Poseidon City and take a look?" "No, teacher." Jixiang's eyes were clear, and there was no hesitation in his tone. Instead, he answered with great certainty, "I have no relatives in this world anymore, and Poseidon Island is my hometown, not Poseidon City." After the name of Hanhei City was changed, I used to worship the sea god very much, but among the fishermen who have lived in the waters around Sea God Island since childhood, who doesn't worship the sea god? When I faced the reality, I realized that my previous belief was so weak. God is not perfect and has selfish desires. He is no different from humans. He is just a human being who is powerful to a certain extent. Electrolux is very satisfied with the auspicious changes his disciple has such a god-level teacher, and he is bound to inherit the throne of the god of light in the future if Jixiang chose to become a subordinate of the inheritor of the sea god. Because of his belief in the sea god, this would be something that Alex could not tolerate. This is also the reason why he chose to remain silent and acquiesce to the other party's actions even though he knew that Luo Minghu had used provocation on his disciples. This disciple of his had only spent a few months with Su Keming, the inheritor of the god of darkness, and Luo Minghu, the inheritor of the god of space. To say that the friendship between the three of them is deep is nonsense. What exists between them is more of a relationship of interest, but many times, relationships maintained by interests are much more reliable than other relationships. At least, that's what Electrolux saw. End of this chapter. Chapter 240. The storm is coming. The coronation ceremony of the Emperor of the Sea God Empire has attracted the attention of all parties to Sea God City, a city on the western border of the continent. It took less than half a month from the time the news of the coronation ceremony was released to the auspicious day for the coronation ceremony. Normally, with such a short period of time, the various forces on the continent would not have enough time to come and participate in this grand event of the Sea God Empire. This was not due to the Poseidon Empire's lack of consideration, but was intentional. Before the Sea God Island came to the mainland, the Douluo continent had always been controlled by the three major forces of the Spirit Hall, the Heaven Dou Empire, and the Star Luo Empire, and the situation was also like a three-way confrontation. After the Poseidon Empire came into being, it broke the balance of the three powers in Douluo continent of the original three major forces on the continent, except for the Xingluo Empire. None of them has suffered any damage to its interests due to the emergence of the Sea God Empire. However, the Sky Dou Empire lost the western province, one of its 6 provinces, due to the emergence of the Sea God Empire. The Spirit Hall not only lost the Spirit Hall branch in the western province, but also lost 5 titled Douluo level elders in the sneak attack of the Sea God Empire. Of the 3 major forces, the Sea God Empire directly offended and killed 2 of them. Although the Sea God Empire has not yet infringed upon the interests of the Star Luo Empire, everyone with a discerning eye on the continent knows that this is a matter of time. Therefore, the coronation ceremony of the first emperor of the Sea God Empire must not only not invite these 3 forces, but also must hurry up and complete the coronation ceremony before these 3 forces can react, to prevent them from sending people to disrupt the coronation ceremony. If the coronation ceremony was not of great importance, it would not only need to be announced to the people within the territory of the Sea God Empire, but also an auspicious day would need to be chosen to hold it. The time starts from the time when the Sea God Empire selects the auspicious day. The nearest auspicious day to them is half a month later, which gives them only half a month of preparation time. As soon as the news of the coronation ceremony spread, it caused a wave of enthusiasm in the mixed crowd of Poseidon City. The spies from various forces on the mainland lurking in Poseidon City also immediately passed this important news back as quickly as possible. Lin's manor in the landscape garden. The spine-tailed swift stood on the bank of the lotus pond, lowering its head to lap up the clear water to quench its thirst in the bamboo pavilion nearby. Lin Rong unfolded the secret letter sent by the spine-tailed swift and read it quickly. Coronation ceremony? It seems that Poseidon has found the successor of the sea god, Sea God. Tangsan is a thing of the past. Without Tangsan, who will be the successor of Sea God this time? Is the martial spirit related to the sea? Lin Rong sat facing west and looked up at the sky. The Sea God Empire was in that direction. The Coronation ceremony of the founding emperor of the empire. Since the founding of Xiangdao Douluo continent has not had such a lively event for a long time. With such a grand occasion, there must be many people from all sides of the mainland who want to secretly disrupt it. The closer we get to the day of the coronation ceremony, the more the attention of the entire continent will be focused on Poseidon City, the capital of the Poseidon Empire. Everyone wants to disrupt the coronation ceremony, and I won't be the only one. So I won't go to Poseidon City. I'd rather go to Poseidon Island. On the day of the coronation ceremony, the founding emperor, the inheritor of the sea god, must be present. The high priest of the sea god, Poseidon, and the remaining 6 guardians of the 7 sacred pillars of the sea god will not be absent either by this calculation. Even if there are still people left on Poseidon Island, at most they would only be the demon soul great white shark clan led by Xiaobe. However, as the first generation mount of Poseidon, Xiaobe, the 100,000-year-old great white shark with a magic soul, will most likely not miss the coronation ceremony of this generation of Poseidon's inheritor. In other words, there would be no title Douluo level fighters left on Seagoat Island at that time, which would be a perfect opportunity to steal Seagoat Island. There are many good things on Poseidon Island. Not to mention the at least 7 deep-sea silver pillars used for tidal body training, the Poseidon Trident, the Poseidon artifact stuck upside down on the ground in the Poseidon Temple, is worth going to Poseidon Island to take it away. As for who to take with him, Seahorse Douluo should be excluded first. After all, Seahorse Douluo is also one of the 7 sacred pillars of Sea God Island, and the guardian of the Seahorse sacred pillar. It is really immoral to steal the other party away. As for the rest, there is no need for the old butler to say much. As for Yun Wei, he and the old housekeeper were not at home, so she needed to stay at home to look after Seahorse Douluo, and Sereth also had to stay at home to help look after him as a royal attendant. Dugubo has been busy lately and cannot leave. The Gai Shilong Shi couple also have things to do. Ma Hongjun is training in the military camp at Jialing Pass, so it is not advisable to move rashly. Feng Xiaotian can be brought along, but the Kamikaze Academy is a bit far away, and it would be too troublesome to pick him up back and forth. Yu Lingling doesn't like socializing, so don't consider her. Finally, there are Oscar and Ning Rongrong. For these 2 people, Poseidon Island can be regarded as a revisit to the old place. Moreover, Ning Rongrong's martial soul, the 8 treasures glazed tower, has the ability to sense treasures, which is also helpful in plundering supplies from Poseidon Island. As a result, the people going to Poseidon Island this time were himself, the old butler, Oscar, and Ning Rongrong. A total of 4 people. Time passed slowly. Soon, several days passed. There is only 1 day left until the founding emperor of the Poseidon Empire ascends the throne. But at this moment, the Poseidon City has changed from the lively and noisy atmosphere of a few days ago, and has a bit of the tranquility before the storm at the top of Poseidon City. Inside the imperial palace on the throne, Chen Haitian, the inheritor of the sea god, sat there. On both sides of him stood Poseidon, the high priest of the sea god, Poseidon, and the old priest of Chenjia village. Below the main hall, the 6 sea gods and 7 sacred pillar guards Douluo stood in 2 rows on both sides of the main hall. Poseidon took a step forward and said, "Tomorrow is your majesty's coronation ceremony. It concerns the reputation of our sea god empire for generations to come. No mistakes are allowed. Hey Long, have all matters concerning the ceremony been arranged properly? Will there be any mistakes during the coronation ceremony tomorrow?" On the left side of the hall, Sea Dragon Douluo, who was standing at the head of the left side, bowed his head and saluted, and replied, "Your Majesty, High Priest, the coronation ceremony has been rehearsed many times, and there is absolutely no possibility of any mistakes. In addition, during the coronation ceremony tomorrow, the entire Sea God City, whether it is the guard force in the open or the guard force in the dark, we have done our best to ensure that not even a fly can fly in." Poseidon nodded with satisfaction and turned to look at Chen Haitian, who was sitting on the throne. Chen Haitian, who was sitting upright on the throne, saw Poseidon's gaze and was stunned for a moment before reacting. He looked at the sea dragon Douluo, who was saluting below, and raised his hand and said, "No gift." After receiving the order, Heilong first glanced at Poseidon secretly, then straightened his back and returned to the queue. Poseidon didn't notice the little movement of the sea dragon. She looked at the sea witch below and asked, "There has been no news from Kaba so far. We can only use a substitute for the coronation ceremony tomorrow. Sea witch, have you arranged for Kaba's replacement?" End of this chapter. Chapter 241 Night. when as soon as the sea witch opened her mouth, she realized that her tone was wrong in such a serious occasion. She shouldn't reply in a light-hearted tone. Fortunately, she realized it quickly enough and changed her tone in time, changing her brisk tone to a solemn and steady tone, and replied, "Your Majesty, High Priest, I have already arranged a substitute for Kaba. Your Majesty and High Priest, please check it out." The sea witch picked up the piccolo and played. Soon, outside the palace, an old man wearing a black robe embroidered with a seahorse pattern walked into the sound of elegant and ethereal music. Kaba, inside the hall, Poseidon and the other 5 pillar guards were surprised. This person's appearance and demeanor were exactly the same as the seahorse Douluo in their memory. Without waiting for Poseidon to ask, the sea witch explained, "This person has a head soul bone. Although it is only 1,000 years old, its soul skill is related to disguise. With this soul skill, combined with the unique secret skills of my mermaid clan, I can dress him up as a seahorse, both in appearance and demeanor. It's exactly like a seahorse, but there are some shortcomings. First of all, his voice is still his own. He can't imitate Kaba's voice. But I can make up for this. Also, I have used the sea devil's voice to control this person's mind to ensure that nothing goes wrong." Poseidon was very satisfied with the sea witch's results. If you control this person with the voice of the sea devil, you won't have to worry about the fake seahorse being leaked. Now everything is ready, waiting for the coronation ceremony to begin tomorrow night on the west coast of Poseidon City. The sea tides rise and fall, and the salty sea breeze blows from the sea onto the city streets. The sky was cloudless, and a bright moon hung in the twilight, casting its clear moonlight. The moonlight fell on the earth, shining through the cracks in the rocks into a hidden cave. In the cave, a group of people in black sat together on the round table. An ancient soul guide lamp emitted a faint light. Although this ray of light was weak, it formed a soul power barrier that isolated the sound transmission path between the cave and the outside world. This group of men in black all came from various major forces on the mainland. They gathered together because they had the same goal, which was to disrupt the coronation ceremony of the Emperor of the Sky Dou Empire tomorrow. Although the men in black present concealed their identities, there were only a few forces in the mainland that dared to do so. The Spirit Hall, the royal family of the Sky Dou Empire, the royal family of the Duuluo Empire, and several major worldly and hidden sects. Therefore, although they tacitly concealed their identities, they all knew which forces each other came from. Tomorrow is the pirate's coronation ceremony. We should act according to the plan. Each of us should do our own job, and do our own work well. Don't let some mistakes implicate all of us, eh? Man in black said. He said this to the crazy people from the body sect. Among the men in black in Poseidon City, Poseidon Douluo. Poseidon is in charge personally, a peerless Douluo at level 99, and he was at the seaside. Therefore, they came here at the risk of their lives to disrupt the coronation ceremony of the Sky Dou Empire. If anything goes wrong, those who come to disrupt the coronation ceremony may be wiped out. The furious Poseidon is fully capable of killing them all. Everyone present knew who these words were addressed to, so they kept silent and waited for the people from the Benti sect to speak. Don't worry about it. We know what to do. Just do your own thing and don't let it get in the way of us. At a corner of the round table, a burly man in black said without hesitation, "Madman, everyone present cursed inwardly. Reason is for reasonable people. Talking to a madman has no effect and will only cause trouble, so no one will say anything to refute it." So everyone stopped talking, sat in their seats, and waited quietly for dawn. In the cave the other side in the vast ocean, Lin Rong held the heart of Poseidon in his hand, controlling the seawater to carry them to the sea where Poseidon Island was located. The night view of the sea is beautiful. The moon is high in the sky, and the sky is full of stars. This night scene is reflected on the tranquil sea surface. The plankton emits a faint glow and gathers together, looking dreamy and unreal. Lin Rong looked behind him and said to everyone, "At this speed, we will be able to reach Poseidon Island before dawn. If we search quickly, we may still be able to catch up with the busiest time of Shanghai City." Seeing that Ning Rongrong seemed a little absent-minded, he asked, "Why, are you worried about Bone Douluo?" "Yeah, a little bit." Ning Rongrong nodded in response. As one of the top 3 sects among the 7 major sects on the continent, the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect naturally participated in the action of disrupting the coronation ceremony of the Emperor of the Sky Dou Empire. There are 2 titled Douluo in her family. Bone Douluo Gu Rong has special abilities due to his martial spirit, the Bone Dragon. He is also a titled Douluo of the Defense Department, so he has a very strong self-protection ability. Therefore, Bone Douluo represented the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect in this operation. However, Although Douluo has a strong ability to protect himself, there is a peerless strong man of level 99 in Sea God City after all. Although she believes in Douluo's ability to protect his life, it would be a lie to say that she is not worried at all. Oscar had already noticed Ning Rongrong's situation. He wanted to comfort her, but he also knew how to start. Now that Lin Rong asked this question, he had no worries and comforted her. Rongrong, don't worry, as the saying goes, pick the softest persimmon first. Among those who sabotage the coronation ceremony, Douluo may not be the strongest, but he is definitely the hardest to catch. Although Poseidon is strong, she is only one person after all, and she can't split herself into two. There are so many people who are trying to sabotage the ceremony. It's impossible that the one Poseidon caught was just Douluo. Also, didn't they say that a group of lunatics from the body sect also participated in this operation? With that group of lunatics here, Poseidon's attention will definitely be on them, and the pressure on others will be much less. Besides, didn't the Lord just say that if we search quickly, we can almost catch up with the outbreak of unrest? Your spatial ability is much stronger than Douluo. It is not easy to take Douluo away, my lord, am I right? After saying that, Oscar looked at Lin Rong. Almost. I had originally planned to finish off my work in Poseidon City after looting Poseidon Island. Lin Rong said. Ning Rongrong felt relieved after receiving Lin Rong's affirmative answer. As long as you search in time, you can catch the feast in Haitian City. In this case, she must make every effort to use the power of her martial soul, the 8 treasures glazed tower, to plunder the treasures of Seagod Island as quickly as possible so that she can rush to Seagod City in time. End of this chapter. Chapter 242. Landing on Poseidon Island. Under the cover of night, the waves carried Lin Rong and his party to the Poseidon Island. As soon as they stepped into the area of Poseidon Island, they immediately felt the difference in temperature between here and other sea areas. The alternation between cold and warm made Oscar say in surprise, "It's so warm. Is this Poseidon Island? It's really different." It was winter at this time, but the climate of the Sea God Island where they were located was as warm and comfortable as spring. The endless land is full of vibrant green, and all kinds of plants grow on Poseidon Island, as if returning to the mainland. This is Poseidon Island, where Poseidon ascended to the throne of Poseidon in the past. The power of Poseidon remains on this island, which has created the blessing of spring-like weather all year round on Poseidon Island, Lin Rong explained, waving for everyone to follow. Actually, he learned this knowledge from Seahorse Douluo. No wonder. Oscar sighed. Because he was a little slow in his pace, he fell behind the 4 people. Lin Rong walked in front, using his life senses to sense the situation on Poseidon Island. Soon after some perception, he discovered that there was no one on the huge Poseidon Island. No one is left. Has he decided to abandon Poseidon Island? Or is it because the circumstances of the coronation ceremony are special and all residents of Poseidon Island need to be present, so there is no one on Poseidon Island at this moment? No matter which situation it is a good thing for them who come to steal the house. If no one stayed behind, they could plunder the treasures of Poseidon Island without any scruples. Lin Rong turned around and instructed the old housekeeper, Ning Rongrong, and Oscar. I sensed it, there is no one on the island, so, in order to improve efficiency, we split into 2 groups. I'll be traveling alone. Grandpa you stay with Ning Rongrong and Oscar. Ning Rongrong and Oscar had low cultivation levels, and would waste a lot of time just traveling on the island. Having the old butler take them with him just made up for this shortcoming. Understood. The 3 answered in unison. The most important thing on this trip to Poseidon Island is to take away Poseidon's sacred artifact, the Poseidon Trident, from the Poseidon Temple. Therefore, after saying goodbye to the old butler, Lin Rong immediately rushed to the island within an island in the center of Poseidon Island as quickly as possible. Poseidon Island is very large. It is more like a small continent than an island. The island within the island is located in the center of the entire Poseidon Island, and the Temple of Poseidon is located on the top of the mountain range on the island. Within the island, the distance between the island coast and the island center is quite far, but that is only for ordinary soul masters. Lin Rong's speed now is no slower than that of the title Douluo of the agility attack system. With all his might, it didn't take long for him to fly over the circular sea and set foot above the island. Within the island, the entire island within an island is not very large, and the Poseidon Mountain on the island occupies almost 90% of the island's area. On the top of the mountain, in front of the Temple of Poseidon, a stone staircase that looks like it was carved from white jade goes down from the top of Poseidon Mountain to the foot of the mountain, with a total of 1001 steps, light of Poseidon. Lin Rong purified his spiritual power and used his spiritual sense to scan the sea god mountain below. Under his spiritual sense, the 1001 steps emitted a blue glow, which was the so-called sea god light. The temple of Poseidon standing on the top of the mountain gathers the geomantic potential of the entire Poseidon island. After the transformation of Poseidon's divine power in the temple of Poseidon, the light of Poseidon is released, covering the 1001 steps below. It's just a means of God, not a precious thing. The light of Poseidon is a method left by Poseidon after all. Besides being used for assessment, it may have other uses. To be on the safe side, it is better to destroy it. The Emperor's holy spear appeared in Lin Rong's hand, and the thunder-attributed soul power gathered in it and was thrown down fiercely. There was a sound of a sharp blade cutting through the air, and the tip of the Emperor's holy spear accurately pierced into the center of the sea temple's gathering earth veins. The destructive force of thunder suddenly erupted. The center that gathered the power of the earth veins was destroyed, and more than a dozen white stone pillars outside the temple of Poseidon also collapsed. Lin Rong's eyes were shining with a pale golden light. In his eyes, the azure light of the sea god covering the 1001 steps was rapidly dissipating after losing its source of power, and soon it completely lost its light. He stretched out his hand and the Emperor's holy spear transformed into a stream of light and returned to his body. His spiritual sense swept over the sea god mountain again, and after confirming that there was no danger, Lin Rong slowly landed in front of the gate of the sea god temple. Seeing that the palace door was closed, the wind-attributed soul power gathered in his palm, and a strong palm wind was shot out from his hand, blowing open the closed door. As soon as Lin Rong walked into the hall, he saw a long black stick standing on the Poseidon platform at the end of the hall. That was the long handle of the Poseidon's trident. The hall was not big. Lin Rong walked slowly and soon reached the end of the hall where the Poseidon altar was located. The trident of Poseidon weighs 180,000 kilograms. For the mortals of this world, this is indeed an unreachable limit. Even with the body of a demigod, I don't have the strength of 108,000 kilograms now, but who says that the one who pulls out Poseidon's trident must be a human? Lin Rong raised his wrist and said to the 9-curved vine dragon that was sleeping coiled in his sleeve, "Xiaoking, wake up, it's time to get up and work." The 9-curved vine dragon opened its eyes, flew and circled in the air, stretched sleepily, and then looked at the black stick in front of it. Black, 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 and red. A soul ring combination of 6 black and 1 red appeared on Lin Rong. The innate domain unfolded, and the first and third soul rings lit up at the same time. The first soul skill, Dragon Soul Awakening, increases the power attribute, while the third soul skill, King Yao Kingshan and Tenglong Domain, increases all attributes. A total of 3 increases are bestowed on the 9-curved Tenglong. After gaining attribute enhancement, the 9-bend vine dragon danced in the air and its body quickly grew in size, transforming from a cute palm-sized dragon baby into a majestic blue dragon. The azure dragon stretched out its claws to grasp the black stick, then pulled it out with all its might. The trident of Poseidon weighing 180,000 kilograms fell off the Poseidon platform and was easily pulled out. The extraction of Poseidon's trident meant that this Poseidon's artifact was completely in Lin Rong's hands. If the previous inheritor of Poseidon did not have the heart of Poseidon, he could still hunt down the million-year-old soul beast Deep Sea Demon Whale King and use the whale pearl in its whale brain to replace the heart of Poseidon. But now, without the Poseidon artifact, the Poseidon heir will never be able to inherit the Poseidon throne. Lin Rong stepped forward and tried to grab the sea god trident from the 9-curved vine dragon. The astonishing weight in his hand made him sigh. It is quite heavy. If the trident cannot be recognized as its master, no matter who holds it in their hands, it will weigh 180,000 kilograms. In that case, let's give this trident to Supan. End of this chapter. Chapter 243 Treasure of Poseidon Island. Supan, the captain of his family's guard team, was assigned to be Hongjun's personal bodyguard. The rock-horned bull martial spirit is one of the most loyal to him among all the people. Therefore, Lin Rong gave the evil god pearl obtained from the dark demon evil god tiger to Supan. With the evil god pearl improving his talent, Supan unsurprisingly obtained the inheritance of the Hercules throne from the artifact Hateful Earth Ringless Set. Hercules, as the name suggests, the inheritance of this god's throne has an extremely exaggerated increase in the strength attribute. When Supan put on the armor of the Hateful Earth Ringless Set, the force of 180,000 kilograms was just a piece of cake for him. And the trident of Poseidon could be used as a flying stick in his hand. Although the Hateful Ringless Set has a pair of weapon artifacts, The twin Hercules hammers. It is not a bad thing to have one more artifact. After all, no one would complain about having too many artifacts. Lin Rong did not put the trident of Poseidon and the heart of Poseidon together, but put them separately in a storage soul guide. The heart of Poseidon contains the divine thoughts left by Poseidon. Who knows if any accidents will happen if the trident of Poseidon approaches the heart of Poseidon. If the sea god's thoughts are brought out, things will be troublesome. Although he is no longer afraid of a mere thought from the sea god, it is always better to be cautious in everything. Now that we have obtained the trident of Poseidon, the next thing to do is to look at the deep sea silver pillars on the coast of Poseidon Island as the rarest metal in the world. Lin Rong didn't believe that deep sea silver had only one use, which was to make the rainstorm pear blossom needle. Apart from anything else, didn't the sea god also collect so much deep sea silver to build so many silver pillars? This shows that deep sea silver must have other uses, but it just needs people to discover it. As for how to find a way to use the sea god's sunken silver, that was Lu Gao's business and he didn't need to think about it himself because Tang Hao and Tang Xiao are dead. It is impossible for Tang Chen to appear in front of Lu Gao without the assistance of these three people. Lu Gao alone would not be able to forge the sea god's sunken silver, and the hidden weapon, the torrential pear blossom needle, which required the blood sacrifice of the caster to complete, would not be created either. Therefore, Lin Rong had already handed the piece of deep sea sunken silver in his hand to Lu Gao, letting him figure out the use of the iron lump of deep sea sunken silver himself. The other side, Sea Dragon City, one of the 7 major cities on Poseidon Island. The old butler Yu Yuan brought Ning Rongrong and Oscar to the city represented by Sea Dragon Douluo, the leader of the 7 sacred pillars. Prior to this, the 3 of them had already visited the other 6 cities represented by the 7 sacred pillars: Douluo, Sea Horse, Sea Star, Sea Delusion, Sea Spear, Sea Illusion, and Sea Girl. Poseidon Island has been passed down for thousands of years and is the undisputed overlord of the ocean on Douluo Star. Although the soul masters living on Sea God Island, the tests on Sea God Island dictate that only those who have awakened their soul power can live on the island, do not border the outside world. The sea itself is a huge and inexhaustible treasure. Guarding such a treasure trove, the wealth accumulated by Sea God Island over 1,000 years is an extremely praised figure. Even Ning Rongrong, the young master of the 7 treasures glazed sect, was stunned by the huge amount of wealth after seeing it with her own eyes, and what they saw was only the remaining part after Poseidon Island took away part of the property in order to build the Poseidon Empire. Even though these riches are mostly worldly things, they have no effect on improving the soul master's own strength. But as the saying goes, money is not everything, but without money is nothing. No matter how powerful a soul master is, he is still a human being. Food, clothing, housing, transportation and daily necessities all require money. Money has many uses, it all depends on how you use it. Led by Ning Rongrong, the 3 of them came directly to a secret room in Heilong City. Heilong is worthy of being the leader of the 7 sacred pillars. The number of soul bones here is twice that of other sacred pillars. Oscar turned into a little money grubber. After the experience in the previous 6 cities, he walked forward skillfully and put the 6 lead boxes on the shelf into the soul guide. The 7 sacred pillars of the sea god Douluo have been passed down for thousands of years, and every generation is a titled Douluo, so it is not uncommon for them to have inherited spirit bones. There are 7 sacred pillars. The first 6 sacred pillars each have 3 inherited soul bones. Together with the ones obtained from Heilong City, there are a total of 24 inherited soul bones. However, one of the lead boxes in each holy pillar city is empty, which means that the inherited soul bone in that lead box is now in the possession of one of the 7 holy pillar guardians. Therefore, Ning Rongrong asked Oscar why he took away all the empty lead boxes. The answer she got was that the lead box itself is a precious metal and is very valuable. In addition to the lead box containing soul bones, the secret room also contains mountains of rare treasures unique to the ocean. Fortunately, I brought enough soul guides, otherwise it wouldn't fit. Ning Rongrong stood aside and watched Oscar transform into a little whirlwind and frantically plunder treasures in the secret room. She was glad that she had brought almost all the storage soul guides that the sect could carry before she set off. Even so, after packing all the treasures in this secret room, it would almost fill up the hundreds of storage soul guides she carried with her. Hundreds of storage soul guides may sound like a lot, but the storage space of each soul guide is of different sizes. A large storage soul guide can be equivalent to 4 or 5, or even 7 or 8 small storage soul guides. This is the last of the 7 cities on Poseidon Island. We have already finished looting everything we need to. I wonder how the progress is going on your side. Ning Rongrong walked out of the secret room and looked up at the sky. At this moment, The twilight has mostly faded away, and in the distant sky one can vaguely see the sun rising over the horizon. In a short while, it will be dawn, and after sunrise, the coronation ceremony in Poseidon City will begin. I hope that the progress has been made on your side. If we rush to Poseidon City now, we should be able to catch up with the feast. The coast of Poseidon Island. Phew. Finally finished. Lin Rong took a breath and said there were dozens of deep-sea silver pillars on the seabed, and they were fixed to the seabed by the power of the sea god. It took him a lot of effort to pull the deep-sea silver pillars out from the seabed. Looking at the sun rising slowly above the horizon, Lin Rong discovered that it would take a lot longer to process these deep-sea silver pillars than he had imagined. It's almost dawn. Grandpa, you should have already searched the 7 cities. Let's go and take a look. Before he finished speaking, Lin Rong disappeared from the spot on the other side. The old butler just walked out of the secret room. The green leaf mark on his arm flashed, and Lin Rong appeared behind him. Young master, if you are tired, would you like to take a rest? The old butler was not surprised at Lin Rong's sudden appearance. Seeing that there were some beads of sweat on his face, he took out a handkerchief and gently wiped it clean. No, it's just a little bit of physical exertion, it's nothing. Lin Rong refused. We're going to Poseidon City now. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, Ominous Omen. Just before dawn, the sun has not yet risen from the horizon. The streets and alleys of Poseidon City were already bustling with people and traffic. Every street in the city is hung with lanterns. These countless lights dispel the darkness of the night and make this city built on the mountain as bright as day. On the top of the mountain, in front of the gate of the imperial palace, Chen Haitian stood on the cliff and looked into the distance to the end of the eastern horizon. On the horizon there, he could vaguely see the slowly rising light of the morning sun. Today he was wearing a complete set of luxurious blue and gold clothes. The fabric is as blue as the sea, with light golden cloud patterns embroidered evenly and appropriately. The sea breeze blew the robe, making it look like flowing water, and the light golden cloud patterns were like the golden light created by the sun shining on the sea. From being a descendant of the illegitimate child of the sea god, he suddenly became the legitimate successor of the sea god. It all seemed like a dream. Too dreamy to be real enough. After today's coronation ceremony, Chen Haitian will be the founding emperor of the Sea God Empire. His name will be famous throughout the ages and remembered by future generations. Whether this reputation will be passed down through the ages or left as a laughingstock for eternity depends on whether today's coronation ceremony can be successfully completed and not be sabotaged by people with ulterior motives. To be honest, he was nervous. Chen Haitian stood on the cliff, from where he could overlook the entire Poseidon City. The wide field of vision allowed him to clearly see the people coming and going on the street. He knew that among this crowd, there might be people who wanted to sabotage his coronation ceremony. Time passed slowly, the sun rose, and dawn came under the glow of the morning glow. The old priest of Chenjia village quietly walked behind Chen Haitian. Xiaotian, it's getting late. You should go back to the palace and get ready. The kind voice in his ear made Chen Haitian turn around. After seeing who was coming, he put down his guard and told the old man about his troubles. Grandpa priest, do you think I can successfully complete the coronation ceremony today? As he spoke, his brows were furrowed. Since last night, he had an ominous premonition in his heart that he couldn't shake off. Even with a level 99 peerless title Douluo like Poseidon, he didn't have enough confidence to believe that he could successfully complete the coronation ceremony. When an enemy comes, we will fight him with our troops. When a flood comes, we will block it with earth. The people of Poseidon Island have made all the necessary preparations. If this still cannot allow you to complete the coronation ceremony smoothly, then it is God's will that cannot be violated. The old priest did not make any guarantees. He knew that the most important thing for Chen Haitian now was to relax his mind instead of adding to his psychological burden. Whether or not the coronation ceremony is successfully completed today, you are the successor of the sea god and have a bright future. Therefore, your vision should not be limited to the present, but look to the future. History is written by the victors. As long as you can inherit the throne of Poseidon in the future, won't you have the final say on how history books are written? Inherit the throne of Poseidon? Maybe. Chen Haitian did not tell the old priest that his ominous premonition was not only about today's coronation ceremony, but also included the inheritance of the sea god. In order to reassure the old priest, he forced a smile and replied in agreement, "Yes, Grandpa Sacrifice, I understand." In the huge square to the west of Poseidon City, this is where the Emperor of the Sea God Empire will hold his coronation ceremony. The ceremony has not started yet, but the square is already surrounded by an endless crowd. In a tall building not far from the square in the top floor box, Bone Douluo Gu Rong and Poison Douluo Dugubo sat opposite each other. Gu Rong participated in this operation on behalf of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect as the protector Douluo, while Dugubo participated in this operation on behalf of the Xian Dao royal family as the royal priest. Next to them, there was another person sitting. That person, like Gu Rong and Dugubo, was wearing a black robe that covered his entire body. With only his face exposed. Just looking at the attire, it is hard to tell who this person is, but the only one who can sit side by side with two titled Douluo is another titled Douluo. This person's name is Xiaotian. He is a titled Douluo level elder of the Xingguan sect, a hidden sect in the Douluo Empire. His title is Chen Guang. The Star Crown Martial Soul is a top-level star-type weapon martial soul, and it is also a rare all-round martial soul. The martial soul combines attack, assistance, control and defense. So the owner of the Star Crown Martial Soul can choose from multiple training directions, whether it is the strong attack system, the agile attack system, the defense system, the auxiliary system, or the control system. They are all within the selection range of the Star Crown Martial Soul. However, the powerful and almighty capabilities of the Star Crown Martial Soul are also subject to the inherent limitations of the Martial Soul. Just like the Seven Treasures Glazed Pagoda can only be cultivated to the 79th level of Soul Saint, the Star Crown Martial Soul can only be cultivated through meditation at night with the help of starlight. The direction of cultivation chosen by Dust Light Douluo Xiaotian is defense. Among the three titled Douluo, Gu Rong and Xiaotian are both defensive titled Douluo with full life-saving abilities. In addition, Dugubo has extremely poisonous means that make all those below him as weak as ants. The combination of the three can be described as 1 offense and 2 defense, with no obvious weaknesses. Originally, they wanted to bring over the title Douluo from the body sect, but the appearance of the sea soul beast made them give up these ideas for the coronation ceremony of the founding emperor of the Poseidon Empire. Not only did all the people of the entire Poseidon Island gather in Poseidon City, but even the sea soul beasts who believed in Poseidon gathered in the sea area west of Poseidon City. The 7 major sea soul beast tribes that migrated to the rivers of the mainland, the 3-eyed magic whale tribe, the blood mark seal tribe, the ice fang sea lion tribe, the sky jellyfish tribe, the magic soul anemone tribe, the bloodthirsty starfish tribe, and the red-shelled crab tribe. The Poseidon Mount, the demon soul great white shark clan led by the 100,000-year-old demon soul great white shark Xiaobai, as well as the mermaid and other 100,000-year-old sea soul beasts. Most of these sea soul beasts are aquatic, and only a very small number are amphibious because they are just lurking in the sea around Poseidon City, serving as a deterrent to possible destroyers. There are not many sea soul beasts that can actually leave the ocean and go ashore to help, but just because the sea soul beasts don't come out doesn't mean that no one is planning to attack them. In his eyes, those lunatics in the body sect and those 100,000-year-old sea soul beasts were all walking 100,000-year-old soul rings and soul bones. What if those lunatics couldn't resist their greed for the 100,000-year soul rings and soul bones and attacked the sea soul beasts guarding the sea? Then the 3 of them would be in trouble as well. No, it should be said that all of them would suffer together. It's just that whoever teams up with that lunatic will bear the greatest risk. End of this chapter. Chapter 245, Killing the Target. Speaking of which, the Spirit Hall did not send Jihuaguan and Xiaoge, the 2 hard-working models, to participate in this operation. Could it be that because this operation is risky, the Pope of the Spirit Hall did not want to sacrifice their 2 trusted confidants, so he replaced them with someone else? While waiting, Gu Rong drank tea and tried to find topics to pass the time. If the 2 of them are from the Spirit Hall, with the spirit fusion technique of the bipolar forbidden field, even if we can only freeze that peerless Douluo for a moment, it can still give us a lot of chances to escape successfully. Hearing this, Dugubo, who knew a lot of inside information, looked at Gu Rong and said in a sour tone, "How, I heard that they both got a great opportunity recently and their spirit power has been broken through. They are no longer ordinary title Douluo at level 95, according to the rules of the Spirit Hall. Once your spirit power exceeds level 95, you can join the worship hall and become a worship Douluo." BB Dong still wants to use Jihuaguan and Xiaoge's power to interfere in the worship hall. How could she send the two of them to participate in such a risky mission? After absorbing the two 10,000-year soul bones given by Lin Rong, Chrysanthemum Douluo Yu Yuan and Ghost Douluo Gimri successfully broke through to level 97. The only news released to the outside world, including the Spirit Hall, was that he had broken through from level 95 to level 96. Dugubo knew that the two of them had broken through to level 97, and he himself was only at the peak of level 96, so his tone was sour. He once shamelessly asked Lin Rong for a soul bone, but was directly sent back with the words, "You are at the peak of level 96, and they are half a step to level 97, so that's how it is." No wonder. Gurong suddenly realized, although he was curious about where Dugubo got the information, that was not the point. It doesn't matter who is sent to disrupt the coronation ceremony of the Emperor of the Sky Dou Empire. In comparison, the right to interfere in the worship hall is obviously much more important to Bibidong than this action is. For Dugubo's sour tone, Gurong found it not difficult to understand it. Instead, he felt the same way. Although Dugubo is a title Douluo at level 96, his apparent cultivation level is the same as his and Xiaotian's, both of which are title Douluo at level 95. After a title Douluo's cultivation reaches level 95, improving his soul power level is no longer a matter of simply accumulating soul power. If he does not have enough talent, he will never be able to break through the bottleneck of level 95. He himself has been stuck at level 95 for so many years and has never been able to appreciate the charm above level 95. The Yu Yuan ghost was originally one of them, but now, after suddenly realizing it, the bitterness in Gurong's heart was no less than that in Dugubo's. Great opportunity? It's nothing more than a 10,000-year soul bone. It can't be a legacy from the gods. Xiaotian on the side suddenly said, "There are 7 title Douluo in the 7 sacred pillars of the Sea God. They should have at least 1 or 2 10,000-year soul bones in their bodies. With the 3 of us working together, it shouldn't be a problem for us to kill a title Douluo while disrupting the coronation ceremony. If we get the 10,000-year soul bone from the other party, then the 3 of us will fight for it based on our abilities. The 10,000-year soul bone will improve our aptitude and increase our hopes of breaking through to level 96. What do you think?" In response to his proposal, neither Gurong nor Dugubo gave an immediate response. The strength of the 7 sacred pillars of the Sea God Douluo is not very strong. The strongest, Sea Dragon Douluo, is only level 95, and the soul power levels of the other 6 are generally between level 91 and level 93. It wouldn't be a problem for the 3 of them to work together and sneak attack and kill the 6 title Douluo except Sea Dragon Douluo in the chaotic scene. But the problem is that killing the 7 sacred pillars guard Douluo will inevitably anger Poseidon, and then they will become the primary target of this level 99 peerless Douluo, unless there are more than 3 people who want to kill the 7 sacred pillars guard Douluo soul bone. After weighing the pros and cons, Gurong did not give a clear answer, but said, "It depends on the situation. If there is a suitable opportunity, we will still have time to take action. There are certainly risks in attacking the 7 sacred pillar guardian Douluo, but in order to see the hope of breaking through level 96, Gurong decided to take a gamble depending on the situation." And although Dugubo has already broken through to level 96, the several 10,000-year soul bones on his body have improved his aptitude, which is enough to support him to break through to level 97. Absorbing a 10,000-year soul bone will only shorten the time it takes for him to break through to level 97. Therefore, there was no need for him to take the risk of being targeted by Poseidon and kill the 7 sacred pillar guard Douluo with the 2 of them, so he politely declined. "Forget about me. The poison cannot kill a title Douluo instantly, so it won't be of much help to you. Besides, one of you has space attribute and the other has star attribute. You will be able to snatch soul bones much faster than me. If I plan with you, I will be the one who suffers." No. In that case, forget it. Seeing Dugubo's refusal, Gurong gave up the idea. His family has 2 inheritors of gods, Ning Rongrong and Oscar. When they grow up, there will be no worries about not being able to break through a level 95, so there is no need to rush. That's fine. This is risky. It's more important to leave Poseidon City alive than to obtain the 10,000-year soul bone. Seeing that neither of them had any idea, Xiaotian said, "Among his 9 soul skills, there is one that is very suitable for snatching soul bones after obtaining them. He is confident that he can definitely snatch the soul bones, so he proposed to kill the 7 sacred pillars guarding Douluo." But now, Gurong and Dugubo did not plan to participate. and he alone could not kill a Douluo guarding the 7 sacred pillars of the sea god in a short period of time, so the matter had to be left unresolved. The palace hall Dugubo and the other 2 were discussing whether they should take advantage of the chaos to kill the Douluo guarding the 7 sacred pillars of the sea god, who were all gathered here at the moment the coronation ceremony is approaching, and they are holding final discussions. The person pretending to be Kaba is only a soul king, and he is also under the control of you, the sea witch. To be on the safe side, I'd better let him take my place as the head of the 7 holy pillars and let him stand beside the high priest. See. Dragon Douluo discussed with the other 5 people. The high priest is a peerless expert at level 99. The person pretending to be Kaba is standing next to the high priest. Those villains definitely don't have the guts to attack him. After that, sea witch, you can distract him and control him in the name of protecting his majesty, and keep him within the protection of the high priest. In this way, the fact that the seahorse was impersonated by a human can be smoothly covered up. Everyone nodded in agreement, and the sea witch said, well, although this is not in accordance with etiquette, it is the only way. Distraction. Control isn't that hard for me, but simply controlling him is pretty easy. End of this chapter. Chapter 246 The Road to the Throne. Early morning the clouds dissipated, and the red morning glow scattered over the city built on the mountain, as if it was covered with a red gauze when the sun completely rose from the eastern sky. The door of the imperial palace on the top of Poseidon City opened at the same time. The neat and orderly team filed out of the palace gate and went down the mountain along the winding mountain path. One team after another walked out of the palace gate, until one moment, 8 sedan bearers lifted a luxurious blue and gold sedan and it appeared in the outside world. On the sedan chair, Chen Haitian sat in the center. On his left and right side stood the high priest of the sea god Poseidon and the old priest from Chenjia village. Today is the day when the emperor of Poseidon Empire ascends the throne and is crowned. The appearance of the real emperor has caused the people of Poseidon City to burst into huge cheers like a tidal wave on both sides of the street. Countless people crowded there, hoping that the ruler of their empire would pass by them soon. Oh, today's protagonist finally appears. The appearance of Chen Haitian made the black-clad men lurking in various hidden corners of Poseidon City perk up. On the top floor of a high-rise building, by the window, Ning Rong looked at the scene in the sedan chair in the distance and said, if I'm not mistaken, the young and beautiful woman in the sedan chair should be the legendary high priest of the sea god, Poseidon. She is indeed very beautiful and has great temperament. She is even better than the current spirit hall Pope Bidong. No wonder Jin Daoliu and Tang Chen fell in love with her at the same time. At this point, he seemed to have thought of something interesting. The corners of his mouth turned up, and he couldn't help but smile. Look, the one sitting in the sedan chair is the great emperor who will be crowned today. He looks no more than 20 years old. Right, 20 years old is the prime age of youth. Although Poseidon's real age is over 100, he looks like that person, only in his 20s. Such a breathtaking beauty and unparalleled temperament, even an old man like me is moved by it, let alone a young man full of vigor and vitality. Tell me, is there a possibility that the emperor of the Sea God Empire has fallen hopelessly in love with a peerless beauty, Poseidon? In response to this, Dugubo nodded and said with great interest, well, you know what, this is really possible, and the possibility is not small. I've noticed that guy's eyes always look towards Poseidon inadvertently. I don't believe he doesn't have that kind of thought. Dugubo has a 10,000-year-old skull soul bone entitled Douluo level vision. With the blessing of the 10,000-year-old skull soul bone on his vision, even though the high-rise building where the 3 of them are is far away from where Chen Haitian is, he can see quite clearly. Really? I'll take a look too. Xiaotian echoed. He also has a head soul bone, although it is only a 1,000-year-old one, but it is still stronger than a titled Douluo next to him who doesn't even have a head soul bone. Xiaotian's 1,000-year-old head soul bone is over 8,000 years old. Although it cannot compare to Dugubo's Medusa head soul bone, which is at least over 30,000 years old, in terms of the improvement on vision alone, the difference between a 1,000-year soul bone and a 10,000-year soul bone is not as big as imagined. Therefore, after observing carefully, he indeed saw the detailed changes in Chen Haitian's facial expression and eyes. Yes, this is indeed the case. The 2 of them who had soul bones were talking to each other, while Rong, who did not have the vision enhanced by the head soul bone, could not see the details of the changes in Chen Haitian's facial eyes from such a long distance, and could only remain silent during the conversation between the 2 of them. Today, the people's emotions were unprecedentedly high. On the streets, wherever Chen Haitian's sedan chair passed, there were cheers from the people. The voices became louder and louder, resounding throughout the entire sea god city and even reaching the ocean, allowing countless sea soul beasts to feel the inspiring shouts in the sedan chair. Chen Haitian maintained a dignified expression, and the cheers coming from his ears did not cause any obvious change in his expression as the emperor of the empire. Even if he was extremely nervous at the moment, he could not show even a trace of it in front of the people of the empire, especially on this important day of his coronation. On the side, Poseidon seemed to be standing like a statue on the left side of the sedan chair. But in fact she was secretly releasing her mental power, covering an area of 100 meters centered on herself. If there is any disturbance within a radius of 100 meters, she can respond immediately. So far, everything is normal. It seems that the group of rats hiding in the sewers are planning to wait until the team reaches Poseidon Square before taking any action. No matter what methods they use, I will break them all with my own strength and kill all the invaders without leaving a single one alive, and make the Sea God Empire famous. Poseidon's mood was calm, and he didn't take the people sent by those forces on the mainland seriously at all. Of course, as one of the 3 greatest level 99 Douluo in the world, her invincible strength gives her the capital to be proud of this. On one side of the street, among the crowd, a middle-aged man in a dark green robe was lurking in an inconspicuous corner. Poseidon, level 99. When the sedan chair passed the street where he was, there was a hint of fanatical fighting spirit in his eyes when he looked at the sedan chair. Don't worry, there will be a chance to fight soon, just wait a little longer, he muttered to himself as if to comfort himself. After the sedan went away, the middle-aged man also disappeared in the crowded crowd, and appeared in a dimly lit room a moment later. Metropolitan. Inside the room, 3 men in black looked at the middle-aged man who walked in and spoke in unison. Is everything ready? The middle-aged man walked to the back of the room and sat down, asking casually among the 3 men in black. The one standing in the middle answered, "Of course, and the quantity is large enough to satisfy your hunger. I guarantee that all the sea soul beasts will have a taste of the bloodthirsty secret medicine. But, Sect Master, if we do this, will it be a waste of money for those people? There are so many sea soul beasts, and there are also many people from various forces. We may not be able to eat them all, so what if it's cheap for them?" The middle-aged man said nonchalantly, "As long as our harvest can meet our expectations, then the gathering of so many 100,000-year-old soul beasts here is a godsend opportunity. This kind of opportunity is hard to come by, and now that we have it, we certainly can't miss it, even if it means giving it to others. Besides, all the sea soul beasts here believe in the sea god. This sect master would like to see, in the face of the temptation of soul bones, which one will those sea soul masters choose between faith and their own strength?" End of this chapter. Chapter 247. Bloodthirsty Sea. For any soul master, the temptation of soul bones is irresistible. He didn't believe that those sea soul masters would give up the soul bones right in front of them for the sake of their beliefs, and once this happens, the coronation ceremony of the Emperor of the Sea God Empire today will become a complete joke. All the sea soul masters are competing for soul bones, so who has the time to care about the coronation ceremony? Yes, the master is wise. Without further delay, we will go to the coast and quietly sprinkle the bloodthirsty secret potion into the seawater. The man in black standing in the middle said this and then left the dim room with the other 2 men in black. Time passed by minute when the sedan chair carrying Chen Haitian arrived at Poseidon Square. Nothing happened again, which was unexpectedly smooth, but the calm appearance did not make Chen Haitian and the 6 sea gods and 7 sacred pillar guards behind him let down their guard. Poseidon Square is where the coronation ceremony is held. It is the focus of everyone's attention and attracts the attention of all the people in the city. The more attention it attracts, the greater the impact will be. Once a problem occurs, if they were those thieves hiding in the dark, they would choose to strike in Poseidon Square. If they were more ruthless, they would even choose to strike at the most critical moment of the coronation ceremony, which would cause the greatest impact. Because of this, the more critical the moment, the more they dare not relax their minds, for fear that the enemy will appear at the next moment. Soon, the coronation ceremony officially began. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, until 1 stick of incense passed. Still nothing happened. It was so smooth that it was unbelievable. Strange? It can't be that they are scared, right? Chen Haitian and others thought. On the other side, the group of men in black lurking around Poseidon Square were also confused. Strangeness, it's been an incense stick of time. Why haven't those crazy people from the body sect taken any action yet? Isn't this different from the plan? They once held a meeting secretly without telling those crazy people from the Benti sect. The content of the meeting was very simple. Among the people from various major forces, the Benti sect had the most people and the strongest strength. Therefore, they unanimously decided to let the people from the body sect take the first step, and after Poseidon's attention was attracted to the group of lunatics, they would take advantage of the chaos tract. But now such a long time has passed, and those crazy people in the body sect have not taken any action yet. This is not in line with their usual style, or maybe their secret meeting was known by those lunatics, so they are hesitant to take action like now. How about we go first, Gu? Rong asked weakly in a high-rise building near Poseidon Square. Go. Dugubo widened his eyes, as if to say, "Are you kidding me?" and said, "Are you crazy? Let's go ahead. The first ones to be shot by Poseidon will be the three of us." She is a level 99 peerless Douluo, not some fragile vase. Are you too confident in your own strength? Or are you too confident in the strength of both of us? Su Zuchen said nothing, but he looked at Gu Rong as if he was looking at a fool. Haha. Gu Rong laughed awkwardly a few times and waved his hand to say, "I'm just talking, don't take it seriously, don't take it seriously." After a while, he looked at the coronation ceremony going on smoothly in the square and asked, "What if those crazy people from the body sect don't take action? We can't just keep waiting, right, you?" No, although the coronation ceremony is complicated and takes a long time to complete, the longer it is delayed, the lower the chance that a body sect will take action. This question stumped Dugubo and Su Zuchen. After a long silence, Su Zuchen spoke first. "If the people from the body sect don't take action, what else can we do? Of course we'll just let it go." Compared to completing the mission and disrupting the coronation of the Sea God Empire's emperor, our own lives are more important. Besides, we are not the only ones who have not taken action. Haven't people from other forces also waited until now and have not taken any action? If no one takes action, no one will gossip. But if someone takes action and attracts Poseidon's attention, we and the rest of us will naturally take action in the chaos. So, the next key is whether there is anyone willing to take on the burden of attracting Poseidon's attention. Gu Rong nodded helplessly. This is the only way. The situation is now west of Poseidon City. On the coast, the three men in black concealed their breath and used the buoyancy of the seawater to float on the sea surface. Colorless and odorless medicine powder continuously fell from their hands into the sea. The powder dissolved immediately when put into water. A large amount of powder was scattered into the sea water. The sea surface still looked clear, and there was no sign of any powder scattered. Bag after bag of powder was scattered into the sea. This went on for several minutes before all the powder carried by the three men in black was scattered. One of the men in black looked at the clear water below with some distress, and thought to himself, "After consuming so much bloodthirsty secret medicine, I hope I can have a good harvest." After the powder was scattered, they released the small sea area that had been imprisoned with their soul power, allowing the sea water that had dissolved a large amount of bloodthirsty secret medicine to flow through the ocean currents to where the group of sea soul beasts were. "Let's go," said the leading man in black. "With such a dose of bloodthirsty secret medicine and such a large number of sea soul beasts, if they go crazy, it will be difficult for us to escape. Besides, the sect master is still waiting for our news. We have to go back quickly and not keep him waiting for too long." Yet, the other two men in black nodded, and the three of them concealed their breath and quickly left the coast and the ocean. The seawater dissolved with the bloodthirsty secret medicine was pushed by the ocean currents and spread towards the sea area where the sea soul beast was located at an extremely fast speed due to its colorless and odorless characteristics. When the seawater containing the bloodthirsty secret medicine flowed to the sea area where the sea soul beasts were, even a group of 100,000-year-old sea soul beasts did not notice anything unusual about the seawater, and as they breathed, the medicinal properties of the blood-thirsty secret medicine are absorbed into their bodies through breathing. As the medicinal properties were inhaled, a slight feeling of heat appeared in the sea soul beast. Soon, the feeling of heat grew rapidly, and a bloodthirsty nature quietly emerged along with a growing feeling of heat, and gradually eroded their sanity. "Oh no, there's something wrong with the seawater." When the 100,000-year-old sea soul beasts discovered the problem, some of them had already lost their minds. The sea soul beasts that revealed their bloodthirsty nature began to indiscriminately attack all the sea soul beasts around them. Even if the attacked sea soul beast still retained some sanity, they would lose their sanity faster because of the attack. This chain reaction plunged the entire sea soul beast group into endless killing, and endless blood dyed the sea red. End of this chapter. Chapter 248. Tsunami Disaster. A violent sound rang out. Hundreds of thousands of sea soul beasts rioted collectively, causing an unprecedented tsunami. That tsunami brought huge waves and swept towards the mainland with overwhelming force, and the first to be hit was the Poseidon City built by the sea. Poseidon City faces the sea to the west, and Poseidon Square is built at the West City Gate. On the high platform of the square, the chaotic chirping sounds that echoed through the sky interrupted Chen Haitian's emperor's coronation ceremony, which was already halfway through. What is that? Oh my god! Poseidon Square is adjacent to the West City Gate. The noise coming from outside the city immediately attracted the attention of everyone in Poseidon Square and its surroundings. They all turned their heads and looked in the direction of the West City Gate, and saw a scene that would make them unforgettable. That tsunami, huge waves at least hundreds of meters high, are approaching Poseidon City at an extremely fast speed. If it was just at tsunami, they might not be so surprised. Among the soul masters present, 99% are sea soul masters. For sea soul masters, the sea is their hometown, so tsunamis are not uncommon, no matter how big the tsunami is. However, the color of the tsunami before him was not the common azure blue, but turbid blood red, yellow and white, mixed with thousands of purple and black soul rings and pieces of glowing soul bones. And in the turbid tsunami, countless broken sea soul beasts can be vaguely seen mixed in it. Presumptuous, how can you defile the glory of the sea god? Seeing that the surging waves were about to hit the west gate of Poseidon City, Poseidon's angry roar echoed in the square. Poseidon slowly raised her hand, and in an instant, a circle of sea blue light suddenly released from her body, and 9 soul rings symbolizing the tidal Douluo realm emerged one after another. Black, 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 red, 8 black and 1 red. Such an astonishing spirit ring configuration directly made everyone present speechless. The vast and powerful soul power made Poseidon float in the air, and a huge shadow appeared behind her. The face of the phantom was blurry, as if there was a layer of chaotic fog blocking their sight. But the majestic aura released by the phantom caused all the sea soul masters within the coverage of the aura to show horror on their faces. That was the suppression from the martial soul. In this case, the identity of the phantom was self-evident. It was the sea god Poseidon, the Poseidon martial spirit, the inherited martial spirit of the direct bloodline of the Poseidon god of the sea, is one of the 2 great god-level martial spirits along with the 6 winged angels of the martial spirit hall angel lineage. Without using any soul skills, Poseidon simply used his own soul power to activate the power of the sea god's martial soul. As the soul power was activated, the shadow of the sea god behind Poseidon grew larger, hundreds of meters high, and was comparable to the surging waves outside the city gate. Poseidon stretched out her hands forward, and the shadow of Poseidon stretched out his hands at the same time as her. The next moment, blue light shone everywhere. The soft blue light did not have any fluctuations in soul power, and it floated lightly into the surging waves that were almost reaching the West City Gate. At the same moment, time seemed to be frozen. No matter how rough the waves were, they couldn't move forward even a single step. The high priest is mighty. Long live Lord Poseidon. The miraculous scene before their eyes caused the citizens of Poseidon City to burst into deafening cheers. Corner of the square in the dark, the 3 black-clothed men from the body sect saw this scene and looked at the middle-aged man in green robes at the same time, with embarrassment on their faces, and said, "Sect Master, they had not imagined that the soul masters in this world could have such great power, that they could withstand tsunamis hundreds of meters high. Why are you in such a hurry?" The middle-aged man in green robe seemed not to be in a hurry at all, and his expression was extremely calm. He looked outside the city gate and said, "The 99th level is the ultimate realm below the gods, not to mention that Poseidon's martial spirit is inherited from the sea god. The natural disasters in the ocean cannot cause any waves in front of Poseidon, who possesses the sea god martial spirit, but the premise is that the natural disasters in the ocean are not blessed by external forces. Although Poseidon is powerful, she is facing hundreds of thousands of sea soul beasts. Even if each sea soul beast only integrates a small part of its soul power into the tsunami, with hundreds of thousands of sea soul beasts gathered together, the soul power contained in that tsunami is immeasurable and vast." Didn't you notice that even though Poseidon seemed to be able to easily block the tsunami, her hands were actually shaking slightly? Also, although Heiki was blocked by the blue light and didn't move forward, he didn't move back either. Right, the situation is just as the leader of the body sect said. Part of the soul power of hundreds of thousands of sea soul beasts was integrated into the tsunami, and the total amount of their soul power far exceeded the limit that Poseidon could resist. If those soul powers did not come from different sea soul beasts of different races, they would not only be mixed and unrefined, but the soul powers of different attributes would also restrain each other. Otherwise, even if Poseidon could borrow the power of the sea, he would not be able to compete with it. Even so, she could only stop that tsunami from advancing, but could not make it retreat. Xiao Bei. What's wrong with you, the Sea Soul Beast clan? Do you know how serious a crime it is to disrupt His Majesty's coronation ceremony? In response to Poseidon's questioning, a huge great white shark in the waves transformed into a tall girl in white. There was a scarlet glow in her eyes. It was obvious that even a 100,000-year-old soul beast could not completely suppress the bloodthirsty nature of the soul beast, stimulated by the body sex bloodthirsty secret medicine. It's medicine. Someone has put a drug in the sea area where we are that can stimulate the bloodthirsty beast. The drug is so strong that even we, the 100,000-year-old sea soul beasts, cannot completely suppress it. Poseidon, the person who drugged us must be in Poseidon City. Only if we find him and get the antidote from him, can we. Before Xiao Bai could finish his words, he was jumped and rolled into the sea by a sea soul beast that had lost its mind, being rashly attacked, and because of her efforts to suppress it, Xiao Bai's bloodthirsty animal nature erupted. Her rationality was temporarily suppressed by the bloodthirsty animal nature, and she transformed back into the form of a demon soul great white shark and started a bloody battle with the sea soul beast that attacked her. Medicine. Poseidon was extremely shocked and angry, his broad chest heaving, but now she was restrained by the tsunami caused by the sea soul beast and had no spare energy, so she had to hand over the task of finding the person who drugged her to others. Hey Long, no matter what method you use, you 7 sacred pillar guards must find the person who drugged me. However, before Hai Long and the other 7 pillar guards could answer, a magnetic middle-aged man's voice appeared in the square. We'll come out on our own, so you won't have to bother looking for us. End of this chapter. Chapter 249, Poison. Above the square, the leader of the body sect, who was wearing a dark green robe, was standing in the air. Behind him were 3 elders of the sect, who were wearing black robes. None of them have flying martial spirits, but the special nature of their martial spirits allows the owners of their martial spirits to gain the ability to fly after reaching the realm of tidal Douluo. Everyone, do you like this gift? The middle-aged man in green robe waved his hand proudly, pointing to the hundreds or even thousands of soul bones in the waves, and asked everyone present, look, the soul bones that are rarely seen on weekdays are now flowing in piles in the waves outside, waiting for everyone to reach out and grab them. Of course, we have to thank our high priestess of the sea god, Lord Poseidon. It was she who blocked the terrible tsunami for us, giving us the opportunity to get the soul bones from the waves. Every soul bone here is at least 1,000 years old, and there are quite a few soul bones that are 10,000 years old. If you are lucky enough to get 1 or 2 soul bones and absorb them, then it is possible for you to break through from Soul Master to Soul Sect to Soul King to Soul Emperor, Soul Emperor to Soul Sage to Soul Douluo, or even Soul Douluo to Tidal Douluo. Since ancient times, money has moved people's hearts. For Soul Masters, soul bones are the most precious treasure in the world at this moment. As soon as the leader of the body sect uttered these bewitching words, the sea soul masters gathered in the square could no longer suppress their greed for soul bones and rushed towards the West City Gate. Stop it, Poseidon. Separated a part of his mind, gathered his soul power and roared in his throat. The majestic voice made all the sea soul masters instinctively stop their steps on their way to the West City Gate. The real culprit who caused that tsunami disaster is right in front of us. Instead of thinking about executing the murderer on the spot, you are fighting for the soul bones for your own selfish reasons. This is simply a disgrace to Lord Poseidon. Perhaps realizing that this would have no effect, she spoke again. Whoever of you can capture this person, I will make the decision and allow him to choose the 6 soul bones in different positions that best suit him from the waves. In addition to the external soul bones, 6 soul bones in different positions are the maximum number of soul bones that a soul master can absorb. Prioritize picking 6 soul bones from different locations in the waves, and you will be able to collect all 6 full soul bones in your body. There are so many soul bones in the waves, and those 6 soul bones are at least 10,000 years old, or even 100,000 years old. This is because several 100,000-year-old soul beasts have been on the verge of death under the siege of a group of sea soul beasts. In an instant, countless greedy eyes fell on the leader of the body sect. Defeating the opponent means obtaining 6 soul bones of different positions that are at least 10,000 years old. In such a situation, not only the 4 people from the body sect did not feel nervous, but also the rest of the black-clothed men hiding in the dark. Although the people of the body sect act arrogantly and crazily, they do have the strength to be so arrogant. The person who dared to show up in public this time must be confident that he could escape unscathed. The legendary leader of the body sect, let us see your strength. What level have you reached? The three black-clothed men from the body sect are all titled Douluo, and the fact that the middle-aged man in green robe can walk in front of the three titled Douluo is enough to prove his identity. Therefore, Duke and others also guessed that the identity of the middle-aged man in green robe was the rumored leader of the body sect. Humph! Tiny bugs are always so ignorant. The head of the body sect was suspended in the sky, looking down at the sea soul masters below, and said with disdain, "Today, I will let you see what a true martial soul is." After saying this, a faint glow emerged from his entire body. The light flows on the surface of the skin, as if it were coated with a layer of crystal-clear jade skin. Then, 9 spirit rings symbolizing the realm of title Douluo appeared on him one by one. 9 spirit rings, the realm of title Douluo. Everyone had expected this, but they were still deeply shocked. It's not because of the number of soul rings, but the color of the soul rings: black, 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 red, red, 7 black and 2 red. Compared to Poseidon's 8 black and 1 red soul ring ratio, there is 1 less 10,000-year soul ring and 1 more 100,000-year soul ring. How can this be? After a few moments of silence, there were sounds of surprise one after another. Not only them, even Poseidon's eyes flashed with a hint of shock that was hard to conceal. Twin martial souls, she guessed. So his 8 black and 1 red spirit ring ratio was due to the increased spirit ring age granted by the top 8 tests for a normal soul master to achieve such an amazing soul ring ratio. The only way to do it is to be a soul master who has solved the drawbacks of practicing twin martial souls. The leader of the body sect and the 3 elders behind him looked at the surprise on everyone's faces and felt more and more proud in their hearts. The second awakening of the original martial soul can lead to an increase in the age of the soul ring. The higher the quality of the original martial soul, and the higher the level of the second awakening, the greater the increase in the age of the soul ring. The martial soul passed down from generation to generation by the leader of the body sect is the body, that is, themselves. This is the most top-level body martial soul, and only the soul body martial soul that has never appeared in the legend can be compared with it. The current leader of the body sect is named Du Wang, a title Douluo with a soul power as high as the peak level 98. His soul power has been stuck at the peak level 98 for decades. He has collected 6 of the 6 soul bones of a soul master, but one of them is an external soul bone, and the other 5 soul bones are all over 70,000 years old, and 2 of them are even 100,000-year-old soul bones. Among the 6 conventional soul bones, he was still missing the most precious torso bone. It's not that the body sect doesn't have 10,000-year-old torso bones, but there's not a single one that he likes. After collecting the 6 common soul bones, the soul master will assure an equalitative change, and this was the opportunity that Du Wang left for himself to reach the 99th level of Peerless Douluo. Because of this, he was extremely demanding on his last torso bone. Not only did the properties have to match, but the quality and age could also not be lower than the worst soul bone in his body, which was over 70,000 years old trunk bone, 70,000 years old, high quality, and matching attributes. Such harsh conditions have prevented Du Wang from collecting the last soul bone. The reason why the body sect hunted down the 100,000 years old blood pattern leopard king was to obtain the last missing torso soul bone for their sect master, but unfortunately, Du Wang was not there that time, allowing the bloodmark seal king to survive until the rescue of the 3-eyed demon whale king. If we lose this opportunity, it will be almost impossible to replicate it. Because of this lesson, for a long time afterwards, the group of 100,000-year-old sea soul beasts would hide in the depths of the rivers and would not come out. A few months later, the coronation ceremony of the sea god empire gathered many 100,000-year-old sea soul beasts who believed in the sea god to watch the ceremony. After receiving the news, Du Wang immediately put down the matters at hand and hurried to the sea god city, and asked the 3 elders of the sect to give the sea soul beast a secret bloodthirsty medicine. End of this chapter. Chapter 250, Blood Sea floods the city. The combination of 7 black and 2 red soul rings on Du Wang was like a basin of ice water poured into the hearts of the sea soul masters below. In the square there was no longer greed in their eyes when they looked at Du Wang, but deep fear. The number and color of spirit rings can often reflect the strength of a spirit master. Although this method of judging the strength of a soul master is not absolutely accurate, it is applicable in most cases. In their eyes, the soul ring ratio of the high priest Poseidon is 8 black and 1 red, While the soul ring ratio of the mysterious middle-aged man in green robe is 7 black and 2 red, this made them instinctively think that the middle-aged man in green robe was stronger than Poseidon. The fearless and arrogant behavior of the middle-aged man in green robe made them more convinced of this idea. The cowardice in their eyes was met with a scornful smile from Duwang. Seeing them standing there motionless, Duwang said, "The soul bone is outside. Aren't you going to get it, really? Since you are unwilling to move your feet and leave the city, I will help you and let this wave with soul bones enter the city." Before he finished speaking, Duwang's figure disappeared into the air not far away. Poseidon, who was fighting against the tsunami, realized that something was wrong after hearing what Duwang said. Therefore, she decisively chose to give up fighting against the tsunami, gathered her soul power in her hands, and instantly turned around to attack. Behind her. Boom! There was a loud bang. Poseidon and Duwang's fists collided. The recoil force generated by the collision of the two huge forces separated the two of them. Among them, Poseidon retreated more than 10 steps in the air, while Duwang only retreated 3 steps. What a strength! They were all surprised that the other party had such tremendous brute force, and were no less shocked than the other party. Poseidon believed that his physique was good enough to rank among the best or even the best among the soul masters of the time. Although the sea god martial soul is a god-level martial soul in human form, its effect on physical fitness is no worse than that of a top-level beast martial soul, and is even slightly stronger. The combination of 8 black and 1 red soul rings boosts the physique, plus the baptism of the physique from the 2 major tests of crossing the light of the sea god and tidal body refining. This made Poseidon's physical strength reach an extremely astonishing level. But even so, he was actually crushed physically by the middle-aged man in green robe in front of him. How could Poseidon not be surprised? On the other hand, Duwang's thoughts were almost the same as Poseidon's, not to mention other things, just the strength of his original martial soul, himself, and the second awakening of the top-level original martial soul have made his physical strength reach an astonishing level. With the previous attack, he thought that Poseidon would be knocked directly into the ground by him, but he didn't expect that the opponent only retreated more than 10 steps. At the same time, the tsunami outside the West City Gate, without Poseidon's obstruction, poured into Poseidon City amid the horrified gazes of countless people. The tall and thick city wall was as brittle as a piece of paper in the face of a tsunami hundreds of meters high. It collapsed and shattered the moment it came into contact with its tsunami, turning into pieces of debris of various sizes that mixed in the tsunami and rushed towards the city together with it. "Sir, shouldn't we take action somewhere in the sky, inside the invisibility shield formed by the heart of Poseidon?" Oscar looked at the tragic scene in Poseidon City below and asked with reluctance, "Let the powers above fight among themselves, but the people at the bottom are innocent. What's the difference between the actions of the body sect and those of the evil and fallen, innocent?" Lin Rong glanced at Oscar and shook his head in denial. "None of the people in Seagate City today are from the former Hanhei City. Instead, they are the Sea Soul Masters from Seagate Island and the surrounding islands. They have all participated in the invasion of the mainland by the Glazed Empire to a greater or lesser extent. It can be said that the hands of each of them are stained with the blood of innocent people. Perhaps you will say that the adults are innocent, but the children are innocent. But I want to ask you, if their children are innocent, then the children of the original Hanhei City citizens are not innocent." This. Oscar looked dazed, not knowing what to say. He knew that Lin Rong was right, but he just couldn't bear it. Maybe it was his saintly heart that was at work. So, in order to make himself feel better, Oscar used his soul power to block his hearing and closed his eyes so as not to look at the tragic scene below. "Sir, there are so many soul bones, and we are just standing here doing nothing? Why don't we go and get a piece of the pie?" Ning Rongrong did not feel sympathy for the people of Poseidon City like Oscar did. After all, the aristocratic elite education she received since childhood was not something she learned for fun. The current situation also made Ning Rongrong no longer worry about Bone Douluo's safety, so she asked this, "Don't worry. It's easy to get the soul bone, but it's not that easy to take it away alive." Lin Rong said calmly, "Let them keep it for us first, and we will make plans after today's business is over. For now, let's just sit here and watch the battle and see who is stronger, Poseidon or the green-robed leader of the body sect. If you miss such a peak battle, it won't be easy to encounter it again." The surging sea of blood submerged the entire Poseidon City under the sea of blood. Those who are still alive are either powerful soul masters or nobles with distinguished status. Somewhere on a high ground in Poseidon Square, the guardian Douluo of the 7 sacred pillars of Poseidon surrounded Chen Haitian and the old priest, and were always on guard against the violent sea soul beasts that might emerge from the bloody sea at any time. Sure enough, my premonition was correct. The coronation ceremony is doomed to fail. I'm afraid that the sea god's artifact is also Chen Haitian sighed and said with some relief. However, his voice was so faint and noisy all around that neither the old priest from Chenjia village nor the guardian Douluo of the 7 sacred pillars could hear clearly what he said without the psychological pressure. Chen Haitian suddenly felt a long-lost relaxation. The coronation ceremony failed, and the Poseidon's artifact was most likely lost. For him, this was already the bottom, and nothing worse could happen. Chen Haitian looked up at the sky there. Poseidon and Du Huang were facing each other in his eyes. Although the green-robed middle-aged man's soul ring ratio was better than Poseidon's, and the green-robed middle-aged man had the absolute upper hands in the previous confrontation, he still believed that Poseidon could win. Unlike the isolated Poseidon Island in the sea, their Chen village has lived on the mainland for 1,000 years and has some knowledge of the mysterious hidden sect, the body sect. Precisely because of this understanding, he was not shocked when Poseidon was defeated by the green-robed middle-aged man from the body sect in the clash of power. On the contrary, if Poseidon had won the collision just now, Chen Haitian would have been shocked. End of this chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.